Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales. Chapter 37-27. Long Chen had originally turned into a Chaos Origin Destiny Dragon, but in the next instant, he turned into a blood-red ancient spiritual blood dragon. The laws of slaughter and blood exploded in the air. Long Chen's laws of slaughter surged as the God-fiend beast swallowed the billions of God-fiends back into its mouth. A bloody aura engulfed the entire area as a brand new law roared out and covered the entire body of the God-fiend beast. Burning of death. The powerful laws of slaughter turned into a limitless power of burning death that ignited the air of death on the God-fiend beast and instantly ignited it. Every living being had an air of death. Even a sacred lord of the sky-devouring race was no exception. At this moment, the air of death on the God-fiend beast was ignited by Long Chen's laws of slaughter. Even the flesh and blood on the surface of the God-fiend beast started to burn. The God-fiend beast's flesh and blood started to evaporate under the power of the burning of death, and it finally started to be injured. This made the God-fiend beast extremely angry, but it also found it hard to believe. The God-fiend Sacred Lord had clearly devoured so many ancestral god lifeforms and had completely recovered his strength to the level of an ancestral god from the Third Era. But now, he was injured by Long Chen. Long Chen, it looks like you haven't been slacking off recently. Your strength has increased so quickly. The God-fiend beast didn't panic. It was just extremely angry. It finally opened its mouth and released the 8 soul-devouring beasts against Long Chen's laws of burning death. The 8 soul-devouring beasts attacked Long Chen with their powerful laws of devouring as soon as they appeared. They attacked together and wanted to defeat Long Chen in one move. Unfortunately, Long Chen was already prepared for the appearance of the soul-devouring beasts. Lingxi, Xiaolang, Li Xuanji, and the 14 ancestral beings were all prepared. As soon as the 8 soul-devouring beasts appeared, Lingxi, Xiaolang, and Li Xuanji immediately called out to the 14 progenitor lifeforms and immediately attacked. The 7 ancestral Qilins and ancestral phoenixes joined forces with Lingxi, Mo Xiaolang, and Li Xuanji. The power of laws surged majestically, blocking all 8 soul-devouring beasts in the next instant. The soul-devouring beasts were unable to affect the battle between Long Chen and the giant God-fiend beasts. Furthermore, with the absolute advantage in numbers, the soul-devouring beast was completely suppressed. It was unable to break free at all. It was as if it had been imprisoned, unable to threaten Long Chen at all. Because Long Chen was concerned about the souls of the 8 senior dragon servants, he had instructed everyone to not harm the soul-devouring beast. Sacred Lord God Demon Lord, what other methods do you have? Look at the laws of karma. Original sin. Long Chen was calm, and his eyes were filled with hatred toward the giant God-fiend beast. Because the laws of life ignition had already injured the Sacred Lord God Demon Lord, he would be able to completely suppress the giant God-fiend beast with this next move. Long Chen's entire body changed into the appearance of the divine Tao Heart Refining Dragon. He used the Sword of Judgment on the divine Tao Heart Refining Dragon's forehead to condense a destructive sword energy that instantly slashed toward the giant God-fiend beast. The giant God-fiend beast was suppressed step by step after one mistake. It had just used its devouring ability to extinguish the flames of death on its body, so it didn't have the time to block Long Chen's original sin. The laws of karma appeared as the divine Tao Heart Refining Dragon slashed down with the Sword of Judgment. The enormous power of karma pierced through the giant God-fiend beast's body and heavily injured it once more. After being injured twice, the giant God-fiend beast's strength was greatly affected, and its aura started to weaken. Since the battlefield was close to the ancestral god dragon's nest, the other 7 sacred lords of the sky-devouring race that were sealed could see the situation. When they saw that the giant God-fiend beast was at a disadvantage against Long Chen and was continuously injured, they instantly panicked. However, they were all sealed and couldn't do anything in this situation. The sliver of power that they could use to pass through the barrier of the world was used to bite through the barrier of the world so that the giant god-fiend beast could enter the ancestral world. Right now, they couldn't affect the situation at all. On the other hand, the 14 ancestral lifeforms on the side, as well as Lingxi, Mo Xiaolang, and Li Xuanji, revealed joyful expressions when they saw that Long Chen had such an overwhelming advantage. It was very easy for them to stall the soul-devouring beast, and the only thing they were worried about was Long Chen's main battlefield. From the looks of it, the situation was very good. In such an ultimate battle, whoever was defeated would perish. There was no other way to choose. The giant god-fiend beast's life aura became extremely chaotic after being injured one after another. First, it was the burning law of death, and then the power of karma and judgment of the original sin penetrated its body, causing it to become extremely weak. Kill. Long Chen had wanted to take advantage of this opportunity to kill the giant celestial fiend beast. However, the giant celestial fiend beast laughed sinisterly at this moment. Long Chen. Do you really dare to kill this sacred lord? Those 8 soul-devouring beasts have already merged with this sacred lord and are a part of this sacred lord's body. If you kill me, those 8 soul-devouring beasts won't be able to survive, and the souls of your 8 dragon servants will be destroyed along with me. Ha ha ha. The giant god-fiend beast laughed sinisterly. Although it was heavily injured, it stared at Long Chen without the slightest bit of worry. It was obvious that it had already figured out Long Chen's personality. As long as the soul-devouring beasts were in its hands, it was equivalent to holding a death exemption medallion. Long Chen wouldn't dare to kill it no matter what. When Long Chen heard this, he immediately calmed down and broke out in a cold sweat. The 8 soul-devouring beasts had actually completely merged with the giant god-fiend beast. Killing the giant god-fiend beast was equivalent to killing the 8 soul-devouring beasts. This was equivalent to killing the souls of 8 dragon servants. This news made Long Chen hesitate. The matter concerned the survival of the 8 dragon servants' souls. Long Chen had no choice but to be cautious. At this stage, he couldn't ignore the survival of the dragon servants' souls. He was pondering if there was any way to let the dragon servants' souls escape from the soul-devouring beasts so that he could save them. At this time, Lingxi, Mo Xiaolang, and Li Xuanji could not help Long Chen make a choice. On the other hand, the 14 progenitor beasts were rather anxious. To them, the survival of the soul-devouring beasts and dragon servants' souls did not matter at all. They only cared about the giant god-fiend beast's life. Long Chen, quickly exterminate the giant god-fiend beast. This soul-devouring beast has long merged with the giant god-fiend beast as one. Whether you kill the giant god-fiend beast or not, it's impossible for your elders to return. Qi Er shouted. That's right. Unfortunately, he won't have the chance. The giant god-fiend beast laughed sinisterly. Taking advantage of Long Chen's hesitation, it directly opened its huge mouth and swallowed towards Long Chen, swallowing Long Chen's entire body into its stomach. Chapter 37-28. Taking advantage of Long Chen's moment of hesitation, the god-fiend beast opened its mouth wide and swallowed Long Chen into its stomach. This scene instantly caused everyone in the surroundings to be shocked. The 14 progenitor lifeforms were immediately somewhat flustered. Among them, Qi Er even snorted coldly, "This Long Chen is seriously too indecisive. We've lost a great advantage. It won't be so easy to kill that fiend god beast now." "Don't worry, Chen won't fail just like that," Lingxi said immediately when she saw the 14 primogenitors retreating. If the 14 primogenitors left, it would be much more difficult to stop the 8 soul-devouring beasts. "That's right, I confuse with him. I can sense that he's still alive, and his situation isn't too bad. Everyone, please hold on for a little longer. The giant fiend god beast won't be able to deal with us right now anyway," Li Xuanji said solemnly, trying to persuade the 14 ancestral life forms to remain calm. "I'll trust you this once." Huang Er nodded her head after some thought. She knew that if they failed this time, they wouldn't be able to succeed the next time. At that time, the primogenitors wouldn't be able to survive. They would be devoured by the sky-devouring race holy lords and become part of their bodies. Long Chen was only being devoured. He might not die, so they still had a chance. They couldn't afford to be careless right now. Otherwise, something irreversible might happen. The 7 ancestral Qilins and ancestral phoenixes continued to work with Lingxi, Li Xuanji, and Mo Xiaolang to stop the 8 soul-devouring beasts. At the same time, they watched the battlefield anxiously, worried about Long Chen's situation after he was devoured by the beast. The 7 sacred lords of the sky-devouring race were also watching the battle from within the barrier of the 7 caves of the beehive. They finally let out a breath of relief when they saw the demonic god-beast devour Long Chen. The sky-devouring clan's holy leaders understood their own abilities very well. As long as they swallowed a living being, it was very difficult for it to survive. This was because the structure of their stomachs was very special. Because of this, they had the terrifying ability to devour all things. Long Chen was swallowed into the belly of the giant god-fiend god-beast, and he was instantly inside its huge stomach. He was surrounded by the giant god-fiend god-beast's flesh and blood, and a special pitch-black gastric juice flowed out of its stomach, quickly enveloping Long Chen's entire body. The special black gastric juices were extremely corrosive. They began to corrode Long Chen's body and force out the inherited blood essence in Long Chen's body. They were prepared to use the ancestral dragon's inherited blood essence to break the ancestral dragon seal barrier of the other 7 sky-devouring race holy lords. Long Chen's body was being corroded by the terrifying black gastric juices. His body was severely injured and he wouldn't be able to hold on much longer. If it went any further, the inherited blood essence in his body might really be forced out. At this moment, Long Chen's body suddenly transformed into a Tai Chi spirit dragon. It roared in the giant stomach of the demonic god-beast, and the power of the law of life instantly condensed, transforming into the law of glory of life, which completely healed Long Chen's injuries. Long Chen instantly recovered to his peak state. The brilliance of the glory of life had a special restraining effect on the pitch-black gastric juice of the giant god-fiend beast. At the same time, it pierced through the giant god-fiend beast's huge stomach. Long Chen reverted to his original form and escaped from the bloody hole, instantly turning the situation around. Originally, the beast had wanted to force the ancestral dragon's inherited blood essence out of Long Chen's body after devouring him. If it had succeeded, the 7 sky-devouring race holy lords would have been able to break out of their seals. Long Chen alone wouldn't have been its match. However, Long Chen had turned into a Tai Chi spiritual dragon and used the super-powerful glory of life rules. The vitality contained in this rule had even surpassed the standard of a Tai Chi spiritual dragon before the epoch. It allowed Long Chen to break through the seal and escape from the beast's stomach. At the same time, it heavily injured the beast once again. "Damn it! Long Chen, you still don't dare to kill me. Otherwise, your dragon servants and elders will all die," the beast said fiercely. Its body was heavily injured, and it could only use less than half of its strength. However, it didn't turn into particles of life and escape, because it couldn't run now. It had to obtain Long Chen's inherited blood essence. It was so close just now. If it could do it again, it would definitely obtain the inherited blood essence and break the ancestral dragon seal barrier of the other sky-devouring race holy lords. "I don't dare to kill you. However, you're completely suppressed by me now. I have the advantage. You should be the one panicking." At this moment, Long Chen was extremely calm as he stared at the beast. "Holy Lord, if you release my 8 dragon servants, I, Long Chen, promise you that I will only seal you and not kill you. How about that?" Long Chen asked. He was trying to figure out a way to see if the giant god-fiend beast had a way to release the souls of the dragon attendants and their elders within the soul-devouring beast. Unexpectedly, the beast laughed coldly. Long Chen, you're too naive. Not to mention that the 8 soul-devouring beasts have already merged with me, even I can't release their souls. Even if I can, do you think I'll believe you? Really? Long Chen's expression darkened. He hadn't expected the beast to really be unable to release the souls of the dragon servants. If that was really the case, then things would be very troublesome. Of course. What benefit would I get from lying to you like this? The beast said coldly. Long Chen, I think you should just obediently hand over the ancestral dragon's blood essence. Stop struggling. Everything is meaningless. The beast's words were obviously nonsense. There was no way Long Chen would willingly hand over the ancestral dragon's blood essence. However, at this moment, a familiar voice entered Long Chen's ears. Long Chen, kill him now. This was the voice of the 8 dragon servants. It was obvious that the 8 dragon servants were currently struggling and suffering unbearable torment in the hands of the soul-devouring beast. Long Chen, only by killing the Holy Lord can we be freed. Don't worry about us, just do it now. The voice of the origin dragon servant continued. The 8 soul-devouring beasts actually began to tremble violently. It seemed like an intense battle was taking place inside their bodies. The Holy Lord was controlling them, while the souls of the 8 dragon servants were resisting. Long Chen gritted his teeth as he watched this scene unfold before him. He couldn't disregard the lives of his 8 dragon attendant seniors and kill the giant fiend god beast, no matter what. Chapter 37-29. Fatal Eternity. On one side was the giant god-fiend beast, which had committed the most heinous crimes. On the other side were the 8 dragon servants that Long Chen respected the most. Their lives were now tied together. Long Chen was unable to make up his mind and make a decision, which led to the current stalemate. However, the 8 dragon servants' souls suddenly awakened at this moment and began to fight against the giant god-fiend beast's control. They could no longer break free from the giant god-fiend beast's control, but they could do one thing to eliminate all of Long Chen's hesitation and make Long Chen make up his mind to kill the giant god-fiend beast. That thing was, of course, self-destruction. The powers within the 8 soul-devouring beasts began to clash violently as the 2 consciousnesses clashed. This caused the 14 nearby primogenitor beasts, as well as Lingxi, Mo Xiaolang, and Li Xuanji to back away in shock. In the next moment, under everyone's shocked gazes, the powers within the 8 soul-devouring beasts exploded one after another, causing the destruction of space and time to form a destructive vortex. The 8 soul-devouring beasts had chosen to self-destruct. In this way, the souls of the 8 dragon attendant elders naturally disappeared from this world. They were completely annihilated from this world and no longer existed. Long Chen no longer needed to worry about the safety of the 8 dragon attendant elders. Seniors. Long Chen immediately gritted his teeth when he saw this. He had not expected the 8 dragon servants to be so resolute. In order to let him kill the giant god-fiend beast, they had brazenly fought against the giant god-fiend beast's control and eventually self-destructed. This scene made Long Chen burn with rage. He had originally wanted to kill the giant god-fiend beast, but he had been hesitant because of the dragon servants. Now that the dragon servants had chosen to self-destruct, it was equivalent to helping Long Chen make a decision. Oh no! Seeing this, the giant god-fiend beast knew that it had lost its biggest bargaining chip to restrain Long Chen and wait for an opportunity. In that case, Long Chen would kill it without hesitation. Almost immediately after the 8 soul-devouring beasts self-detonated, the fiend god beast wanted to disperse again and turn into particles of life to avoid being killed by Long Chen. Unfortunately, Long Chen had long wanted to kill him and reacted faster than him. Fatal Eternity. Long Chen transformed into the strongest void cosmic dragon among the 7 ancestral dragon inheritances. He soared through the void of the primogenitor's world, and the time rule that seemed to come from the future and ancient times surged like a stream. At that moment, the time around him stopped completely. A fatal eternity, a fatal instant. At this moment, the sacred Lord God Demon Lord's entire body stopped as time passed. He wanted to turn into particles of life, but he was unable to do so. The giant God-fiend beast's movements were completely frozen by this move, and it was unable to move at all. Good job. The 14 primogenitor lifeforms instantly cheered because they saw hope. The sky-devouring race sacred lord, the giant God-fiend beast that had troubled them for a long time, was finally going to be killed by Long Chen. At this moment, they could easily feel Long Chen's killing intent. Under that killing intent, the sacred Lord God Demon Lord would definitely die. Of course, Long Chen would not disappoint them. The fatal eternal rules and time rules surged and froze the behemoth God-fiend in place. It was unable to move. Following that, Long Chen still looked like the void infinity dragon. The chains of time on his massive body condensed into a giant sword in the next moment. Death of time. Long Chen roared, and his killing intent surged. He activated the giant sword of death of time and slashed it at the giant God-fiend beast that had been frozen for eternity. The great sword of time contained boundless time laws. In an instant, it slashed out 300 million times at the giant God-fiend beast. Every slash contained the power of the time laws, causing the giant God-fiend beast's body to suffer even more severe injuries. After 300 million slashes, the giant God-fiend beast's entire body was destroyed by the time laws. The sky-devouring race sacred lord's life was finally extinguished. Giant God-fiend beast, I have fulfilled the oath I made a long time ago. Are you satisfied now that I have slain you with my sword? Long Chen's expression was extremely cold as he watched the giant God-fiend beast's body turn into dust under the giant sword of death of time. In the end, it turned into a pitch-black weapon. This weapon had a strange shape, and it contained the giant God-fiend beast's aura. It was the foundation of the giant God-fiend beast. This strange pitch-black weapon contained all the power that the giant God-fiend beast had devoured in the infinite worlds. Now, it had been slashed out by Long Chen's sword. The giant God-fiend beast had turned into dust, leaving behind only the strange pitch-black weapon. This meant that the sky-devouring race sacred lord had finally been slain. It's over. Li Xuanji sighed softly. This battle had been extremely dangerous. Because of the soul-devouring beast, Long Chen had almost been killed by the giant God-fiend beast and taken away the ancestral dragon's essence blood. However, although Long Chen had slain the giant God-fiend beast in the end, the 8 respected dragon servants had disappeared from this world forever. Following the self-destruction of the 8 soul-devouring beasts, the souls of the 8 dragon attendants that had fused with them were completely annihilated. Not even a trace of them was left in the world. This also meant that the 8 dragon attendants had completely lost their chance of resurrection. They had died even more thoroughly than the 4th era's ancestral gods. Chen, Lingxi came to Long Chen's side. She could tell that although Long Chen had gotten his revenge, he was not in a good mood. Of course, it was because of the death of the 8 dragon servants. Today, including Long Chen's father, Long Qinglan, the 9 dragon servants were all dead. None of them had survived. They had all died in the battle against the sky-devouring race. This made Long Chen's hatred for the sky-devouring race even more intense. Long Chen, you've succeeded. This battle is over. The giant God-fiend beast of the sky-devouring race is finally dead. Qi Air, Huang Air, and the other ancestral life forms rushed over as well. They all heaved a sigh of relief. The God-fiend Holy Lord had chased them for a long time. It could be said that he was the natural enemy of the ancestral life forms. Now that he had died at the hands of Long Chen, it was naturally a cause for celebration. Of course, they could also tell that Long Chen was not in a good mood because of the death of the 8 dragon servants. But this did not affect anything. These ancestral life forms did not have any feelings for the dragon servants. This battle is over. This weapon has gathered the power of the infinite worlds. I will bring it back to the infinite worlds. Who knows, when the power returns to the infinite worlds, it might revive the infinite worlds. Long Chen also knew that the 8 dragon attendant elders could no longer be resurrected, so he calmed himself down and continued to look forward. He looked towards the ancestor mystical dragon's lair. The huge beehive was located in 7 huge caves, where the other 7 holy lords of the sky-swallowing clan were sealed. One day, he would kill all the holy lords of the sky-swallowing clan, just like how he killed the demonic god beasts. But right at this time, Long Chen seemed to feel a strange power spreading out from the huge cavern, giving him a very bad premonition. At 0000 at night, there would be a new chapter of sky-devouring records. Chapter 3730. Long Chen couldn't react in time. He had just realized that something was wrong when Mo Xiaolang, who had been next to him, suddenly went berserk. The laws of devouring and the laws of fire fused together and surged towards Long Chen and the others. Xiaolang, what's wrong? Long Chen looked anxious. He had just defeated the giant god-fiend beast. He didn't expect such a thing to happen. He knew that Mo Xiaolang wouldn't attack for no reason. He must have been controlled by someone. Long Chen, it's nothing. I'm still your brother, Mo Xiaolang. But I'm sorry, I have to attack you now. Mo Xiaolang's voice carried a hint of gloominess, which made everyone feel that something was not right. Long Chen could tell that the current Mo Xiaolang wasn't Mo Xiaolang himself. It was as if he had been controlled by the sky-devouring race's sacred leader. His soul and consciousness had fallen into a deep slumber. Time entanglement. The time chains around Long Chen's body trembled and extended. The laws of eternal time surged and wrapped around the berserk Mo Xiaolang, temporarily restricting his movements. You're one of the sacred leaders of the sky-devouring race. Long Chen said to Mo Xiaolang with a dark expression. Mo Xiaolang's eyes were filled with a dark green light. It was extremely eerie and terrifying. It was enough to show that he was being controlled. Long Chen wasn't the only one attacked by Mo Xiaolang. The other primogenitors, Lingxi, and Li Xuanji were all attacked by Mo Xiaolang. The 14 primogenitor lifeforms immediately used their techniques to block, but they soon realized that they couldn't block it. Only then did they realize that the weird weapon that Long Chen was about to bring back to the 10,000 worlds, the weapon that the sacred lord of the god-demon realm had devoured, had been swallowed by Mo Little Wolf. This meant that Mo Xiaolang had replaced the giant god-fiend beast in his body. His strength was equivalent to an ancestral god of the Third Era. This meant that the current Mo Xiaolang wasn't any weaker than the giant god-fiend beast. In fact, he was even stronger. How is he being controlled? Isn't the giant god-fiend beast dead? Huang Er exclaimed and retreated without thinking. She didn't want to face an ancestral god of the Third Era. If Mo Xiaolang was focused on her, she would be swallowed in an instant. I don't know. It might be one of the remaining 7 sky-swallowing race sacred lords. Long Chen guessed. His expression became extremely solemn. He recalled Lingxi and Li Xuanji back into his god kingdom. Because Mo Xiaolang was being controlled and had the strength of an ancestral god of the Third Era, the situation was too dangerous. Long Chen, you're very smart. I am one of the sacred lords of the sky-swallowing race. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer is the ancestor of the Soul Devourer beasts. As long as the sky-swallowing race is weaker than me, I can control them. Your brother, Mo Xiaolang, is a sun-devouring demonic wolf. He can naturally be controlled by me. Using Mo Xiaolang's body, one of the 7 sky-swallowing race Sacred Lords, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, said. Long Chen, I really didn't expect you to be able to kill a giant god-fiend beast. However, you still don't have any chance of winning against the sky-swallowing race? This Mo Xiaolang is now under my control. I would like to see what other tricks you have up your sleeves. Kill him if you have the ability, TSK 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 TSK. These words kept coming out of Mo Xiaolang's mouth. Long Chen found it hard to believe that his brother, Mo Xiaolang, was being controlled so easily. However, Long Chen knew that the Soul Devourer beast could control all the soul-devouring beasts as long as they were weaker than him. Mo Xiaolang was the sun-devouring demonic wolf's main body. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer couldn't blame Mo Xiaolang for being able to control him. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer. Long Chen said hatefully as he stared at Mo Xiaolang, who was being controlled by the time chains. Thinking about the soul-devouring beast, he thought about the 8 dragon servant seniors who had self-destructed. The hatred and anger in his heart burned again. Not to mention, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer was now controlling Mo Xiaolang. Do you want to kill me? Long Chen, come at me. Mo Xiaolang suddenly roared. The power of the law of devouring surged out of his body and shattered the time chains. Then, Mo Xiaolang ignored Long Chen and charged toward the primogenitor lifeforms. Stop. Xiaolang, you and I are brothers. You're Mo Xiaolang, and I'm Long Chen. Long Chen roared as he chased after Mo Xiaolang. He wanted to awaken Mo Xiaolang's consciousness and soul so that Mo Xiaolang could break free from Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's control. If Xiaolang still had a bit of consciousness, he would definitely react and start to fight against Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's control. However, what disappointed Long Chen was that Mo Xiaolang didn't react at all to his words. All he did was smile coldly as the laws of devouring and fire were unleashed. Mo Xiaolang transformed into a sun-devouring monstrous wolf and swallowed one of the progenitor phoenixes into his stomach in an instant. There was almost no resistance. The difference in strength between the two sides was too big. These ancestral phoenixes had no ability to fight back against Mo Xiaolang's devouring. Long Chen, stop dreaming. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's soul is only second to the first ancestor dragon in the entire world. Apart from the first ancestor dragon, he's definitely number 1. The sky-devouring race that I control? Don't waste your energy trying to wake him up, Kikik. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer was extremely smug as he used Mo Xiaolang's sun-devouring demonic wolf body to chase after him. The remaining 13 ancestral phoenixes retreated without hesitation when they saw this and tried to avoid Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's pursuit. Unfortunately, the further they ran, the more Long Chen couldn't help them block Mo Xiaolang. Right now, Mo Xiaolang and Long Chen's speed was almost the same, and Mo Xiaolang didn't need to spend too much time devouring these ancestral gods. Long Chen chased after Mo Xiaolang and wanted to stop Mo Xiaolang, but Mo Xiaolang's speed was extremely fast. He soon caught up to the remaining ancestral phoenixes and swallowed them one by one. Mo Xiaolang's strength as a sun-devouring demonic wolf became stronger and stronger as he continued to devour them. He had almost reached the peak of the sun-devouring demonic wolf, and his aura was even stronger than Long Chen's. Ha ha ha. My strength is extremely strong now. Long Chen, you are no longer my match. Mo Xiaolang finally devoured all the ancestral phoenixes, and Long Chen couldn't stop this process at all. The ancestral phoenixes ran in all directions, and Long Chen couldn't catch up to them or help them. After all the ancestral phoenixes were devoured, the sun-devouring demonic wolf became even stronger than Long Chen. Chapter 37-31. The sun-devouring demonic wolf turned around and faced Long Chen, who was chasing after it. Long Chen, do you know that you're about to die? The sun-devouring demonic wolf's eyes started to glow green under Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's control, and its aura became cold. Xiao Lang. At this moment, Long Chen could no longer remain calm. After all, he was currently facing his brother, and his brother had actually devoured the lives of his comrades who had just fought alongside him, the 14 primogenitors, and turned them into his own power. I wonder if the things that we went through together can awaken Xiao Lang? Long Chen thought as he stared at the sun-devouring demonic wolf in front of him and said word by word, Xiao Lang, do you remember when we fought against that giant demonic god beast together in the 10,000 worlds? You were devoured by that giant demonic god beast and bought me some time. You're wasting your time. Long Chen, die. Mo Xiaolang smiled grimly. The tyrannical devouring law rumbled, accompanied by the endless burning ancestral fire, which contained a terrifying power that could incinerate the world, time, and space. Long Chen could feel the power contained in the opponent's attack. If he wanted to block it, he would need to use powerful laws. What if he injured Mo Xiaolang? Although Mo Xiaolang was being controlled, he was still Mo Xiaolang and Long Chen's brother. He couldn't be killed. Go. Long Chen made a prompt decision to temporarily avoid the brunt of the attack, and then began to flee into the distance. He didn't want to attack Mo Xiaolang right now, but he couldn't remove Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's control over Mo Xiaolang, so he could only run away. Long Chen knew that Sacred Lord Soul Devourer controlled Mo Xiaolang and wanted to capture Long Chen, obtain the ancestral dragon's blood essence, and release the remaining 7 Sacred Lords of the Sky-Swallowing race. Therefore, Long Chen couldn't let him have his way no matter what. Now, he kept thinking about how to wake up Mo Xiaolang's dormant consciousness. This was an extremely difficult task. He had tried to use his past experiences to awaken Xiao Lang, but he had failed. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's control over Mo Xiaolang was much stronger than Long Chen had imagined. Death Spirit Blood Flame. The sun-devouring dire wolf was hot on Long Chen's tail, constantly using the ancestral fire laws to block Long Chen's path. However, Long Chen wielded the Slaughter Blood Sword. The slaughter law within it was even denser than the Death Spirit Blood Fire. With a single slash, the law of the Death Spirit Blood Fire was destroyed. Then, he continued to flee. Long Chen started to run around the ancestral world and think of a way. Lingxi and Li Xuanji were protected by Long Chen in his divine kingdom, and they were extremely nervous. Their hatred for Sacred Lord Soul Devourer wasn't any less than Long Chen's. Chen, do your best. There will definitely be a way. Lingxi silently cheered for Long Chen. Long Chen ran, and Mo Xiaolang chased. In this period of time, Long Chen kept on using words to try and awaken Xiao Lang, but he found that it was useless. Mo Xiaolang was still tightly controlled by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, and he was being chased by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer. The entire ancestral world was filled with a tense atmosphere. For Long Chen, if he made a mistake right now, it would be the end of 10,000 worlds. Unknowingly, a familiar thing appeared in front of Long Chen. He paused for a moment, then remembered that this was the nest of the ancestral phoenix. Long Chen had been to the nest of the ancestral phoenix before, but he hadn't studied it too much. He didn't have much of an emotion when he came here. However, while Long Chen was dodging another attack from Mo Xiaolang, the terrifying power of laws from the fusion of the 2 ancestral fires landed on the nest of the ancestral phoenix. The progenitor phoenix's nest instantly exploded under the terrifying nomological attack and turned into ashes. At this moment, Long Chen suddenly felt a familiar aura from the nest of the ancestral phoenix. This aura was like the origin of the world of the ancestral dragon, the origin of the ancestral dragon. The ancestral phoenix's nest exploded, and the dust and smoke dispersed. The first thing Long Chen noticed was a simple bronze-colored pagoda was actually revealed within it, and it contained the energy of the laws of creation, primordial chaos, and creation. They fused together and fused perfectly within the small pagoda. The Primordial Bronze Pagoda. This is the origin of the world of the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony. While Long Chen was shocked, he couldn't help but feel happy. He didn't think that he would be able to find the origin of the world of the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony, the Primordial Bronze Pagoda. Under the control of Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, the sun-devouring demonic wolf that Mo Xiaolang had turned into hadn't discovered the existence of the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony yet. After all, Mo Xiaolang's perception of the aura of the ancestral dragon was definitely not as sensitive as Long Chen's. Before Mo Xiaolang could react, Long Chen approached as fast as he could and put the primordial bronze pagoda into his divine kingdom. After a closer look, he found that the primordial bronze pagoda didn't contain the origin dragon soul either. Instead, it contained the origins of 6 worlds. The primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony was the second ancestral dragon, so it should have had 7 origins. Perhaps because of the long passage of time, one of the origins had disappeared, leaving only 6. If I hadn't destroyed the nest of the ancestral phoenix, I wouldn't have been able to find the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony. What a coincidence! Long Chen thought to himself. However, just obtaining the world origin of the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony was useless. He had to obtain the origin dragon soul. However, since the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony had placed the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony here, it must have left some clues for Long Chen to find the origin dragon soul. That's right, if the nest of the ancestral phoenix contains the world origin, then what about the nest of the ancestral Qilin? This thought appeared in Long Chen's mind, so he didn't hesitate and headed toward the nest of the ancestral Qilin without any hesitation. The sun-devouring demonic wolf that Mo Xiaolang had turned into also noticed that something was wrong with Long Chen. It could tell that Long Chen had found something in the nest of the ancestral phoenix, so it immediately chased after him. Long Chen, despair. You will die at the hands of the sky-devouring race. Mo Xiaolang said coldly. This represented the will of Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, and it wanted to destroy Long Chen's will to fight. However, Long Chen's will to fight was extremely firm, especially against the sky-devouring race. Nothing could shake Long Chen's will to kill the sky-devouring race. Even at the last moment, Long Chen wouldn't give up hope. These words were just like how Long Chen wanted to wake Mo Xiaolang up. It was extremely futile. I've arrived at the nest of the ancestral Qilin. Long Chen kept running, and the distance between him and Mo Xiaolang increased a little. After all, the one running had an advantage. The other party wouldn't know where he was going, so the other party would have to be careful when chasing after him. Long Chen kept moving left and right, and Mo Xiaolang fell behind. He wouldn't be able to catch up in a short period of time. There was still one more chapter for the heaven-devouring record at night. The madman wrote the heaven-devouring record in the morning, the dragon blood in the afternoon, and the heaven-devouring record at night. He didn't rest for the entire day, and he was quite tired. I hope that everyone can support the new book. Come read 17K and give the madman some clicks so that he can climb the rankings. Thank you, everyone. If you don't know how to read the original version, follow the madman's WeChat, Feng Qingyang. Search for Feng Qingyang on WeChat. Chapter 37-32. This time, Long Chen took the initiative to attack the ancestral Qilin's nest. Myriad Tribulation Blood River. Long Chen held the Slaughter Blood Sword and the Primordial Desolate Bone Sword. The two swords merged their laws and released a blood-colored sword light that slashed at the ancestral Qilin's nest. The nests of the ancestral Qilin and ancestral Phoenix weren't very durable. However, who would attack their nests for no reason in the past? If they did, they would probably be chased to death by the ancestral Phoenix and ancestral Qilin. However, the remaining ancestral Qilin and ancestral Phoenix had been devoured by Mo Xiaolang. There was no longer a single ancestral life form left in the ancestral world, so it didn't matter how much Long Chen attacked the ancestral Qilin's nest. The ancestral Qilin's nest was too weak compared to the current Long Chen. Just one move of the myriad tribulation blood river law completely shattered the ancestral Qilin's nest. Long Chen focused his mind. Indeed, at this moment, the shattered lair actually condensed. Without destruction, there could be no construction. Vaguely, there was a transformation of the rules. That was the origin dragon soul of the primeval sacrificial dragon. It was a dragon soul filled with the primeval aura, containing the three rules of primordial chaos, creation, and primal chaos. As expected, you found the inheritance of the second ancestral dragon, the primordial sacrificial dragon. Mo Xiaolang was controlled by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer and chased after Long Chen at the fastest speed. Mo Xiaolang revealed an evil smile when he saw the origin dragon soul of the primordial sacrificial dragon after Long Chen destroyed the ancestral Qilin's nest. Unfortunately, Long Chen, you won't have the chance to fuse with the inheritance of the second ancestral dragon. Mo Xiaolang smiled darkly as he was controlled. He opened his bloody mouth and swallowed Long Chen. This mouth contained the supreme law of devouring and almost devoured space and time. Everything in its path was annihilated. Long Chen ignored what Mo Xiaolang was saying as he dashed towards the origin dragon soul of the primeval sacrificial dragon and collected it as fast as he could. Got it. Long Chen was delighted when he sensed the nomological power contained in the primordial sacrificial dragon origin soul. However, before he could do anything else, Mo Xiaolang's bloody mouth had already descended and swallowed his entire body. I'm the one who succeeded. The body of Mo Xiaolang's sun-devouring demonic wolf instantly became bigger, and he revealed a satisfied expression. Under the control of Sacred Lord Soul Devouring, he had finally devoured Long Chen. Moreover, the current Mo Xiaolang was even stronger than the giant god-fiend beast from before. The giant god-fiend beast had devoured Long Chen, but Long Chen had torn open its stomach and broken out. The current Mo Xiaolang was something that Long Chen couldn't break open unless Long Chen could fuse with the inheritance of the second ancestral dragon as soon as possible. However, Long Chen had just obtained the world source and origin dragon soul of the primordial sacrificial dragon. How could he completely inherit the inheritance so quickly? Moreover, the stomach of the sun-devouring demonic wolf was being tempered by endless ancestral flames. It would be extremely difficult for Long Chen to withstand the pressure of the ancestral flames and inherit the inheritance of the second ancestral dragon. As long as we return to the ancestral divine dragon's nest, where the giant beehive is, and absorb the ancestral dragon's blood essence from Long Chen, we will be able to rescue all of our sky-swallowing clan's holy leaders from the seal. When that time comes, our sky-swallowing clan will be able to devour the world. A dark glint appeared in Mo Xiaolang's eyes under the control of Sacred Lord Soul Devouring. After devouring Long Chen, it quickly returned to the ancestral dragon's nest. Long Chen was stunned and Mo Xiaolang swallowed the origin dragon soul of the primordial sacrificial dragon right after he obtained it. However, he didn't panic. The stomach of the sun-devouring demonic wolf, especially Mo Xiaolang's stomach, contained the laws of all kinds of ancestral flames. Several types of ancestral flames surged toward Long Chen the moment he was swallowed. It's the primal chaos heaven-devouring flame. Among the ancestral flames, Long Chen saw a primal chaos heaven-devouring flame. It was the ancestral flame of the ancestral god Kuanpeng. The ancestral flame of Kuanpeng had been devoured by Sacred Lord Soul Devouring a long time ago. Now, Mo Xiaolang had devoured all of Sacred Lord Soul Devouring Sacred Lord's essence and inherited the primal chaos heaven-devouring flame. At this point, Mo Xiaolang controlled another ancestral flame. Unfortunately, Mo Xiaolang was being controlled by Sacred Lord Soul Devouring and stood opposite of Long Chen. In the face of the endless ancestral flames' tempering and refinement, Long Chen's body began to experience endless pain. However, he gritted his teeth and endured it. He knew that this was the most critical moment, and he absolutely could not admit defeat here. Hourglass of Destiny. The time chains around Long Chen's body started to move and form an hourglass of destiny next to him. Under the effect of the hourglass of destiny, a portion of the ancestral flames was offset by the hourglass. Even so, the power of the ancestral flames that Long Chen had to endure was still very strong, and his body was in unbearable pain. Under this destructive pressure, Long Chen didn't waste any time. He took out the primordial bronze pagoda and started to merge with the second ancestral dragon's inheritance together with the origin dragon soul of the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony. Primordial chaos, creation, and primordial chaos, the power of the three origin laws merged into Long Chen's body continuously. The origin dragon soul of the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony was directly absorbed by Long Chen. The origin laws of the three laws started to flash on the primordial bronze pagoda, and it started to cooperate with Long Chen's fusion. Under this destructive pressure, Long Chen's speed of merging with the second ancestral dragon's inheritance wasn't slow at all. The origin laws of the seven worlds in the primordial bronze pagoda were absorbed by Long Chen one by one and merged into his body. The complete inheritance of the second ancestral dragon was quickly inherited by Long Chen. Sacred Lord Soul Devouring obviously noticed this situation. I need to speed up. I didn't think that Long Chen's speed of inheriting the second ancestral dragon's inheritance would be so fast. Sacred Lord Soul Devouring thought as he controlled the sun-devouring demonic wolf that Mo Xiaolang had turned into to speed up and return to the ancestral dragon's lair. However, they were still quite far away from the ancestral dragon's lair during the chase, so it was impossible to return immediately. It would take some time. This period of time was Long Chen's chance. The origin laws of the seven worlds that belonged to the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony were merged into Long Chen's body one after another. Under the refinement of the infinite ancestral fire in Mo Xiaolang's body, Long Chen's greatest potential was stimulated. This could be said to be the fastest he had ever inherited the ancestral dragon's inheritance, and it was the second ancestral dragon's primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony. Sacred Lord Soul Devouring controlled Mo Xiaolang and realized that the situation wasn't good. There was no time to return to the ancestral dragon's lair, and Long Chen was about to completely inherit the second ancestral dragon's inheritance. Chapter 37-33. Success. When the hourglass next to Long Chen finally finished flowing, he finally merged all seven world origins into his body. He completely inherited the inheritance of the second ancestral dragon, the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony. After merging all seven world origins, Long Chen directly stepped into the third era's ancestral god realm and completed the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony. Of the 8 ancestral dragon inheritances that Long Chen grasped, the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony that he had just grasped was still one world origin away from completion. There was also the Great Void Aeon Dragon, which only had 6 world origins and was one world origin away from completion. Other than that, the 6 great ancestral dragon inheritances were all perfected. The Mixed Origin Fate Dragon, Divine Tao Heart Refining Dragon, Tai Chi Lifeform Dragon, Primordial Blood Spiritual Dragon, Universe Chaos Calamity Dragon, and Shadow Dream Demon Dragon respectively controlled the laws of fate, karma, life, slaughter, calamity, and transformation. Right now, Long Chen was the combination of these 6 ancestral dragons. His strength was the same as the 6 ancestral dragons added together, but his strongest move was still the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony that he had just inherited. After all, the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony was the second ancestral dragon. It had 8 world origins and was at the level of the second era's ancestral god. Although Long Chen was one world origin away from completion, it was still the strongest inheritance for him. When the hourglass next to Long Chen finished flowing, all kinds of ancestral flames surged toward Long Chen and wanted to completely refine him, but Long Chen wasn't afraid at all. Chaotic Universe Disintegration. Long Chen held the primordial copper pagoda in his hand, and the power of the laws of primal chaos instantly condensed on the primordial copper pagoda. The endless laws of primal chaos formed a chaotic universe at this moment. Under the power of the laws of primal chaos, this chaotic universe contained everything around it and then started to completely disintegrate. The stomach of the sun-devouring demonic wolf was also merged with this chaotic universe and then disintegrated. Then, Long Chen escaped from the sun-devouring demonic wolf's body. Damn it! Just a little bit more. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer was filled with hatred. He was so close to reaching the lair of Zulong. As long as he reached the lair of Zulong and Long Chen had yet to complete his inheritance of the second ancestral dragon, he would be able to absorb the essence blood of the ancestral dragon in his body and break the seals of the other sacred lords. But now, the speed at which Long Chen assimilated the second ancestral dragon's inheritance had exceeded his expectations. He actually broke through so quickly. In the void, Long Chen stood with the primeval bronze pagoda in his hand, facing Mo Xiaolang with a strong desire to fight. By now, Long Chen knew that it was almost impossible to wake Mo Xiaolang up. The only thing he could do was to fight. Although his opponent was Mo Xiaolang, he could only fight with his brother. Despicable brat, even if that's the case, what can you do? Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's cold voice sounded. He had no choice but to control Mo Xiaolang again and use the body of the sun-devouring demonic wolf to prepare for the final battle with Long Chen. This was Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's last chance. If Mo Xiaolang was killed by Long Chen, then none of the sacred lords of the sky-devouring race would have any chance of breaking out of the seal. However, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer still had confidence in Mo Xiaolang. Although Long Chen had inherited the inheritance of the second ancestral dragon and his overall strength had increased dramatically, surpassing Mo Xiaolang was Long Chen's friend and brother. Although Sacred Lord Soul Devourer didn't know much about Long Chen, he knew that Long Chen valued friendship from the self-destruction of the 8 soul-devouring beasts and wouldn't easily kill Mo Xiaolang. This was his chance. Ancestral Flame Storm. Limitless ancestral flames instantly appeared from the body of the sun-devouring demonic wolf. All 9 types of ancestral flames merged together and formed a storm of ancestral flames that swept over Long Chen. The death spirit blood flame that represented slaughter used the laws of slaughter to carry out slaughter. The eternal life flame that represented time slowed down Long Chen's time under its endless refinement, making it difficult for him to use any methods to resist it. The primal chaos green flame that represented life continuously burned Long Chen's life force. There was also the 3 lives karma flame that represented karma, the desolate 10,000 calamity flame that represented calamity, the 9 darkness demonic ancestral flame that represented illusions, the primordial sacrificial flame that represented the primordial sacrificial flame that represented the primordial sacrificial flame, and the newly obtained primal chaos heaven devouring flame. The 9 types of ancestral flames merged into a storm of ancestral flames that surrounded Long Chen. It contained the laws of the ancestral dragon and wanted to turn Long Chen into dust. Primordial chaos prison of 1,000,000,000,000 worlds. Facing the storm of 9 kinds of ancestral fires, Long Chen held the primordial copper pagoda in his hand. The primordial world rules surged out majestically. This was a method of space rules. He used the primordial world power to build billions of primordial world prisons. Each space prison could separate a part of the ancestral fire storm and refine it with the primordial world rules. The primordial chaos prison of 1,000,000,000,000 worlds instantly descended and devoured the ancestral flame storm before using the laws of primordial chaos to refine it. Even though the destructive power of the ancestral fire storm was endless, it was still broken by the Hongmeng prison of 1,000,000,000,000 worlds. Long Chen stood in the void, and after withstanding the ancestral fire storm, he was actually unscathed. At this moment, both Mo Xiaolang and Long Chen had the strength of an ancestral god from the second era. Long Chen had obtained the origin of the 7 worlds from the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony, and Mo Xiaolang had devoured the essence of a sacred lord and the remaining 14 ancestral gods. Each of their actions could destroy tens of thousands of worlds. This level of battle could even shatter the dimension of the ancestral world. At this point in time, words were useless, so neither side said anything and just stared at each other. Long Chen stared at the sun-devouring demonic wolf's eyes and saw that they were filled with a weird light. It wasn't Mo Xiaolang anymore. At this moment, the sun-devouring demonic wolf was completely controlled by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer controlled the sun-devouring demonic wolf and immediately used the next law after the ancestral flame storm was broken. Heaven-devouring wolf, heaven and earth. The sun-devouring demonic wolf opened its mouth and released the law of devouring. It turned into a pillar of devouring light that shattered space and time as it shot toward Long Chen. Anything that came into contact with this heaven-devouring wolf, heaven and earth law would be devoured, and this pillar of devouring light would become stronger. All obstacles would only make this pillar of devouring light stronger. This was the law of devouring of the sun-devouring demonic wolf. After merging with the law of Sacred Lord Soul Devouring Wolf, it created a new law that could devour and destroy everything. Even space and time wouldn't be able to escape. Facing such a terrifying pillar of devouring light, the primordial copper pagoda in Long Chen's hand released a bright light, and the law of creation condensed into 10,000 beams of light that merged into Long Chen's fist. Great Creation Destruction God Punch. Long Chen punched out, bringing with it a myriad of rays of light of creation. The fist light suddenly broke through the sky and collided with the light pillar of the devouring heaven and earth heavenly wolf. Chapter 37-34. The heaven-devouring wolf devours the universe was a powerful law of the sun-devouring demonic wolf. The pillar of devouring light destroyed space and shot toward Long Chen. On the other hand, the Great Creation Destruction God Fist was created by Long Chen using the law of creation, one of the 3 laws of the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony. Its power wasn't any weaker than the pillar of devouring light from the heaven-devouring wolf devours the universe. In fact, it was even stronger than the heaven-devouring wolf devours the universe. The Great Creation Destruction God Fist and the heaven-devouring wolf devours the universe instantly smashed into the pillar of devouring light. The laws of both sides exploded, and a space-time whirlpool appeared around the beehive. Almost all of Long Chen and the sun-devouring demonic wolf were sucked in. In this turbulent vortex, the divine creation fist and the cosmos devourer of the heavenly wolf both disintegrated and fused together, forming a vortex that destroyed time and space. Neither could take another step forward and kill the other. You have quite a few moves. Let's see this move. Sacred Lord Soul Devouring controlled the sun-devouring demonic wolf and laughed coldly as he told the sun-devouring demonic wolf to use another move. The sun-devouring demonic wolf opened its mouth, and limitless devouring law power appeared. The power of the 9 ancestral flames was also surrounded by the law of devouring. The first move, the storm of ancestral flames, was the fusion of the 9 ancestral flames, and it was extremely powerful. The second move, the heaven-devouring wolf devours the universe, was a pure devouring power that could devour everything. The third move was the fusion of the law of devouring and the power of the 9 ancestral flames. 10,000 World Furnace. The sun-devouring demonic wolf's deep voice sounded, and the law of devouring containing the power of the 9 ancestral flames instantly turned into a giant furnace that came from every direction and trapped Long Chen. The power of the 9 ancestral flames was merged into the 10,000 World Furnace, and anything that was devoured by it would be refined by the 9 ancestral flames and devoured by the law of devouring. Long Chen was enveloped by the myriad realm furnace. He instantly felt the powerful refining power of the myriad realm furnace. The power of the 9 ancestral flames surged through the myriad realm furnace, burning everything in it, including Long Chen, space, and time. At the same time, the devouring rule was everywhere in the myriad realm furnace, supporting the power of the 9 ancestral flames. Not only did it strengthen the refining power of the ancestral flames, but it could also devour the rule power that Long Chen had displayed, making it difficult for him to break this trick. Long Chen had a grave expression on his face. He clearly felt that if he didn't use a stronger technique and just used the Great Good Fortune Annihilation Divine Fist or the Primordial Chaos Prison, the power of a single law would definitely be devoured by the devouring law of the Myriad Realm Furnace. He wouldn't be able to break it. In the Myriad Realm Furnace, Long Chen was violently refined. No matter what technique he used, he would be devoured by the devouring law and continue to be trapped in the Myriad Realm Furnace. The power of the Myriad Realm Furnace's rule, which combined the devouring rule power with the 9 ancestral flames, was extremely terrifying. If Long Chen had not inherited the second ancestral dragon's inheritance, he might not have been able to break this trick. But now, he was extremely calm. He held the primordial bronze pagoda in his hand, and the 3 rule powers of the primordial dragon sacrifice ceremony, primordial chaos, and creation, emerged from the pagoda at the same time. The primordial bronze pagoda was the world's origin of the primordial dragon sacrifice ceremony, and it contained the extremely strong rule power of the primordial dragon sacrifice ceremony. Now that Long Chen had inherited the primordial dragon sacrifice ceremony, its power surged and turned into a long rule river. In this long rule river, the 3 rule powers of primordial chaos, and creation intertwined with each other, forming a tyrannical light beam that broke through the space. Primordial Strike. Long Chen fused the 3 rule powers of primordial chaos, creation, and chaos. His body turned into the primordial dragon sacrifice ceremony, and with the primordial bronze pagoda as the medium, he condensed the primordial strike. The long river formed by the 3 rule powers condensed into a light beam that bloomed brilliantly in the Myriad Realm Furnace. In the Myriad Realm Furnace, the endless devouring rule power tried to devour the rule power of the primordial strike. However, the primordial strike contained the 3 rule powers of primordial chaos, creation, and chaos. The devouring power of the primordial strike alone was smashed by the primordial strike and scattered everywhere. Then, the entire Myriad Realm Furnace collapsed under the impact of the primordial strike. The 9 ancestral flames that were integrated into it exploded and ignited the space around the Myriad Realm Furnace. In the midst of the chaotic ancestral flames, the rule river formed by the primordial strike broke through space and time and instantly descended on the body of the sun-devouring demonic wolf. Primordial chaos laws, and creation laws, the 3 fused together and instantly broke through the sun-devouring direwolf's body, causing it to feel dizzy for a moment. It was completely immobilized in this devastated primogenitor's world. Then, the primordial strike descended on the body of the sun-devouring demonic wolf again. The 3 rule powers emerged and completely destroyed the body of the sun-devouring demonic wolf, causing it to completely collapse in space and time. Seeing this, Long Chen stopped in time. After all, the opponent was Mo Xiaolang, his brother. He couldn't really kill Mo Xiaolang, so he could only destroy his body temporarily. It seems that I can only seal him in the God Nation first, Long Chen thought, and wanted to use some methods to seal the remaining soul of Mo Xiaolang into the God Nation. However, right at this moment, Mo Xiaolang's soul seemed to wake up a little. This was mainly because the aura of Sacred Lord Soul Devouring was finally gone, and Long Chen's actions paused for a moment. Xiaolang, how do you feel? Long Chen asked anxiously. However, in the next instant, Mo Xiaolang's soul became cold once more, and the power of devouring condensed around it. The body of the sun-devouring demonic wolf was formed once more. Long Chen, you've been tricked. Sacred Lord Soul Devouring used Mo Xiaolang's mouth to speak in a smug tone. Long Chen had come over just to check on Mo Xiaolang's condition, giving him the best chance. Storm of Ancestral Flames. The laws of the 9 ancestral flames appeared once more. This time, Long Chen wasn't prepared and was unable to block it at all. He was completely engulfed by the storm of ancestral flames. Long Chen didn't expect Sacred Lord Soul Devouring to leave and distract him before appearing again to ambush him. At this moment, he was completely engulfed by the storm of ancestral flames, and the 9 powerful ancestral flames started to refine his body. Chapter 37-35. The storm of ancestral flames could destroy everything. Long Chen was ambushed by the storm of ancestral flames and was instantly severely injured. His body was being refined by the 9 types of ancestral flames, and he was in an extremely weak state. Ha ha ha, Long Chen, you didn't expect that I, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, would have such methods, right? But now is the time that will truly make you despair. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer laughed as he used the Sun Devourer demonic wolf. A surge of mental energy appeared from the Sun Devourer demonic wolf and landed on the severely injured Long Chen. Right now, Long Chen couldn't fight back at all. He could only blame himself for falling into Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's trap so easily and being severely injured. However, there was no point in regretting now. Long Chen had to focus and face Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's methods. He couldn't lose this battle. As the mental energy from the Sun Devourer demonic wolf entered Long Chen's body, it instantly covered his entire body and used the mental energy to control Long Chen. Soul control is my most powerful law technique. Long Chen, you can only be controlled by me now. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer was very smug. As he successfully used soul control, he controlled Long Chen just like how he controlled Mo Xiaolang. However, there were still some differences between the two. On Mo Xiaolang's side, because Sacred Lord Soul Devourer was controlling the Sky Devourer race, Mo Xiaolang's mental energy and soul were completely suppressed. Mo Xiaolang couldn't feel anything, so he was probably in a state of chaos. However, Long Chen was different. Long Chen's body was the manifestation of the ancestral dragon, not the Sky Devourer race. Although Sacred Lord Soul Devourer could use soul control to barely control Long Chen's body, he couldn't suppress his mental energy and soul. Therefore, Long Chen was completely awake right now, but there was nothing he could do. His mental energy was also severely injured in the storm of ancestral flames, and a part of it was refined by the ancestral flames. Oh no, the soul-devouring beast controlled my body because it wanted to release the other holy lords of the Sky-devouring clan. If he succeeds, the situation will be very bad. Long Chen was a little anxious, but there was nothing he could do now. I need to recover as soon as possible. No matter what Sacred Lord Soul Devourer wants to do, I won't be able to stop him. I might as well focus on recovering my mental energy. Only then will I be able to regain control of my body. Long Chen thought to himself. He didn't bother with what Sacred Lord Soul Devourer was doing with his body. Instead, he started to rest and recover his damaged mental energy. After Sacred Lord Soul Devourer controlled Long Chen, he obviously wanted to release the other holy lords of the Sky-devouring race. Under Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's control, Long Chen and Mo Xiaolang's bodies soon arrived at the ancestral god dragon's lair. They appeared in front of the 9 giant caves above the lair. There were 9 giant caves above the ancestral god dragon's lair. 2 of them contained the origin dragon soul of the dark shadow dream demon dragon and the origin dragon soul of the universe chaos calamity dragon. Long Chen had already obtained both of them. Each of the remaining 7 giant caves had a sacred lord of the sky-devouring race sealed within them. There's not much time left. I should release my body first. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer seemed to think for a moment before controlling Long Chen and dripping his inheritance blood essence onto the entrance of one of the giant caves. The essence blood that belonged to the ancestral divine dragon dissolved the seal barrier as soon as it came into contact with it. The seal barrier was only set up for the sky-devouring clan and the ancestral divine dragon. It would not stop the person who inherited the ancestral dragon's legacy. When Long Chen came here and obtained the origin dragon soul of the Dark Shadow Dream Demon Dragon and the Universe Chaos Calamity Dragon, he had already tested it. The barrier could be completely melted by the inheritance blood essence. As the inheritance blood essence touched the barrier at the entrance of the cave, the barrier completely melted. A cold aura then spread from the depths of the cave. A giant sacred lord of the sky-devouring race appeared from the depths of the cave. Since he had regained his freedom, his aura was extremely excited. The body of this sacred lord of the sky-devouring race was a giant soul-devouring beast. It was obviously Sacred Lord Soul Devourer. Ha ha ha, I'm out. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's voice was extremely sharp and cold, and it was filled with an evil and weird aura. He first controlled Long Chen and let himself out. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer was the ancestor of the Soul Devourer beasts. Sacred Lord God Demon God used the souls of the 8 dragon servants to create the Soul Devourer beasts, and he was the strongest member of the sky-swallowing race. At this moment, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer was free. Without the barrier, his control over Long Chen and Mo Xiaolang's souls became stronger and more stable. I'll let you out now. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer controlled Long Chen's body and dripped his ancestral dragon inheritance blood onto the entrance of the 8th cave of the ancestral dragon and quickly removed the barrier. Long Chen had once talked to a sacred lord of the sky-devouring race in the 8th cave of the ancestral dragon and knew that Sacred Lord Dragon Devourer was sealed inside. He was the sacred lord of the sky-devouring race who had devoured the most god dragons, and his strength was extremely terrifying. The barrier of the 8th ancestral dragon cave was already a little damaged. Now that the ancestral dragon inheritance blood essence was dripping onto it, it disintegrated at the fastest speed possible. Then, Holy Lord Devouring Dragon's figure slowly appeared from the huge cave and arrived at the primogenitor's world. I'm out. Sacred Lord Dragon Devourer's body was extremely big. He had no limbs and only a round gray body. He had a pair of large eyes and a terrifying mouth that took up 1/3 of his body. He wasn't as excited about escaping as Sacred Lord Soul Devourer was. He was very calm and said to Sacred Lord Soul Devourer after coming out, "Continue to save the other Sacred Lords. I don't need you to say anything." Sacred Lord Soul Devourer said coldly before controlling Long Chen's body and heading toward the next cave of the ancestral dragon. Soon, he arrived at another ancestral dragon cave and dripped the inheritance blood essence on the seal barrier at the cave entrance. As the seal barrier was gradually disintegrated by the inheritance blood essence, a bloody smell wafted out from the depths of the cave. This bloody aura made one want to puke, but it contained a terrifying aura. The sacred lord of the sky-devouring race inside was definitely not a simple existence. How many years has it been? You're finally out. Before the sacred lord of the sky-devouring race's body came out, an extremely deep voice sounded from the depths of the cave. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer and Sacred Lord Dragon Devourer revealed expectant expressions after hearing this voice. The sacred lords of the sky-devouring race were finally going to break their seals one by one and come out. There were already more than 50 chapters in the new Sky-Devouring Chronicles. It was very fat and could be slaughtered. Chapter 37-36. Immediately after Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon came out was a giant beast that looked like a meatball. It gave off a bloody aura and looked like the combination of the Blood Hell Beast and the Black Yama Beast. Both the Blood Hell Beast and the Black Yama Beast ate the essence of blood and flesh. They loved to devour the essence of all living beings to increase their own strength. They were extremely cruel and bloody existences. The sacred lord of the sky-devouring race in front of them was the king of the Blood Hell Beast and the Black Yama Beast, Sacred Lord Blood Yama. As soon as Sacred Lord Blood Yama appeared, he covered the entire space in a bloody light and occupied the entire space with a cruel aura. Continue. The inheritor of the ancestral god dragon is being controlled by Sacred Lord Soul Devouring. It's not easy. Sacred Lord Blood Yama glanced at Long Chen's body that was being controlled and said coldly. Long Chen was still trying his best to recover. He obviously felt the three sacred lords of the sky-devouring race appear one after another. The first was Sacred Lord Soul Devouring, the second was Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon, and the third was Sacred Lord Blood Yama. Putting aside the three sacred lords of the sky-devouring race, just any one of them wasn't something that the current Long Chen could easily defeat. Long Chen wanted to regain control of his body, but his mental energy hadn't fully recovered yet. He could only watch as Sacred Lord Soul Devouring controlled his body and headed to the next cave. It's Sacred Lord Devouring Yin's turn now. Sacred Lord Soul Devouring's body didn't move at all. He controlled Long Chen's body to come to the front of another cave and started to drip the ancestral god dragon's inheritance blood essence onto the barrier at the entrance. Under the influence of the ancestral dragon's inheritance blood essence, the barrier started to melt and disappear once again. It didn't take long before the barrier completely disappeared, and an extremely cold aura radiated from the depths of the cave. This chilly aura quickly spread towards the cave. In the next moment, a giant bird that looked like an ice sculpture flew out of the huge cave. When this giant bird appeared, the surrounding space instantly became extremely cold. This was Sacred Lord Devouring Yin. He could devour all heat and temperature and turn everything into cold and darkness. The moment Sacred Lord Devouring Yin appeared, the temperature of the entire primogenitor world dropped to an extremely low level. Almost all the nearby space was frozen. Adding on the three sky-swallowing sacred lords from before, there were now 4 sky-swallowing sacred lords in total. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer used Long Chen's body to break the seal and escape the giant cave to arrive in the primogenitor's world. These 4 sacred lords of the sky-swallowing race had been sealed for too long. They were greedily enjoying the aura of freedom in the primogenitor's world. They're finally out. Who's next? Sacred Lord Devouring Yin flew next to Sacred Lord Soul Devouring, and his cold aura almost froze Long Chen's body. Next, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer didn't think too much. He was just saving the sky-swallowing sacred lords one by one according to the order of the cave. It didn't matter who was next. However, at this moment, Long Chen's mental energy was about to completely recover. Although he hadn't fully recovered, he could use the ancestral dragon's inheritance to break free from Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's control. He saw that the other side had already released 4 sky-swallowing sacred lords, and there were only 3 that were still sealed. Of course, he wouldn't let the other side release the seals of the other sacred lords. However, the other side had too many people, and their battle power was too strong. Apart from the 4 sky-swallowing sacred lords, there was also Mo Xiaolang who was being controlled by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer. It was almost impossible to fight back. Therefore, even if Long Chen wanted to regain control of his body, he needed to find the best opportunity. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer then controlled Long Chen and headed to the entrance of the next cave. Because the bodies of the sky-swallowing sacred lords were very big, the other sacred lords and Mo Xiaolang didn't follow Long Chen to the entrance of the cave. They just waited for Sacred Lord Soul Devourer to use Long Chen to release the next sky-swallowing sacred lord. Right at this moment, Long Chen saw that the opportunity was right. Just as Sacred Lord Soul Devourer was about to drip the ancestral dragon's blood essence, Long Chen's mental energy soul suddenly exploded and chased Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's intent out of Long Chen's body along with the intent of the 8 ancestral dragon's inheritances, allowing Long Chen to regain control of his own body. It seemed like the Jade Dragon Dao Seal was helping Long Chen as well. The mysterious dragon Jade is so powerful. I wonder what kind of power it contains. Long Chen thought to himself. However, now wasn't the time to think about this. He had finally regained control of his body, and the most important thing was to temporarily avoid the other party's attacks. It was almost impossible for the current Long Chen to fight the 4 sky-swallowing sacred lords, so he didn't have any intention of fighting them. If he forced himself to fight, he would only continue to be controlled and release the other 3 sky-swallowing sacred lords. Therefore, as soon as he regained control of his body, he immediately flew towards the back of the giant beehive. This scene stunned the 4 sky-swallowing clan holy lords who had just escaped. Then, they all let out a bloodthirsty and cruel aura as they quickly chased after Long Chen. They were originally looking forward to seeing who would be the next sacred lord to escape, but they didn't expect that it would be Long Chen who escaped from Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's control instead. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer also didn't expect Long Chen to recover so quickly. Most importantly, he didn't know that Long Chen had the mysterious dragon jade, so he didn't expect that Long Chen would escape from his control. How could you let him escape? Sacred Lord Devouring Yin's voice was extremely cold, and it made one's body shiver. He has a mysterious item on him that allowed him to escape from my control, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer said in a deep voice. Don't argue. This is a small matter. We just need to capture him back, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer said in a deep voice. Sacred Lord Blood Yama was the most violent. His entire body radiated a bloody aura, and he couldn't wait to devour Long Chen's flesh. He wanted to see if the flesh of the ancestral dragon's inheritor was any different. The 4 sacred lords and Mo Xiaolang, who was controlled by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, chased in the direction that Long Chen escaped. However, Long Chen had the initiative, and his speed wasn't slow either. They were unable to catch up to Long Chen. Very soon, Long Chen arrived at the back of the giant beehive, the passage that led back to the infinite world. He charged in and directly passed through a barrier. At this moment, Long Chen noticed that this entire passageway was formed from the energy he possessed. In this way, he was entirely capable of completely melting this passageway. Chapter 37-37. As Long Chen now had the complete inheritance of the second ancestral dragon, he could feel what kind of power was contained in this passageway. The entire passageway was made up of primordial chaos, creation, and chaos rule power. It was the fusion of the rule power of the second ancestral dragon and the primordial dragon ritual. This passageway was probably created by the primordial dragon ritual. Long Chen had passed through the barrier, and it would be difficult for the Sky-Swallowing clan's divine lords to fuse it in a short period of time. The Sky-Swallowing clan's divine lords would find a chance to break it, catch up to Long Chen, and follow him to the infinite world. This would be a great disaster for the infinite worlds. Without hesitation, Long Chen decided to destroy the entire passageway. Once he returned to the infinite worlds, he would destroy the entire passageway. He would not give the Sky-Swallowing race holy lords any chance. The Sky-Swallowing race holy lords and Mo Xiaolang Sun Devouring Dire Wolf chased after Long Chen and entered the passageway. As expected, they passed through the gap in the barrier that had yet to recover and continued to chase after Long Chen. However, Long Chen quickly left the passageway and finally returned to the infinite worlds. With his familiarity with the terrain of the passageway, Long Chen was always faster than the Sky-Swallowing race holy lords. After leaving the passageway, he gathered the rule power of chaos, creation, and primordial chaos together and used the primordial strike towards the passageway. The primordial strike was the strongest move of the primordial dragon ritual. When it was used, the power of the 3 rule power surged towards the passageway and started to melt the entire passageway. If the entire passageway was melted, the Sky-Swallowing race holy lords would not be able to enter the infinite worlds through this passageway. It could be said that this was the best way for them to invade the infinite worlds. Long Chen finally heaved a sigh of relief when he saw the passageway start to collapse. At this moment, the four sky-swallowing race holy lords and Mo Xiaolang were chasing after Long Chen in the passageway. They hesitated as they saw that they were about to leave the passageway. If we leave this place, we might not be able to return to the primordial world in the future. Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon said in a deep tone. It's fine. With the 5 of us working together, we should be able to gather enough power to tear open the world barrier and return to the primogenitor's world. At most, we'll just have to spend some effort. Sacred Lord Devouring Yin said coldly. Then let's go and capture that ancestral dragon's inheritor. Sacred Lord Shuiyama said coldly and wanted to charge out of the tunnel. But at this moment, the entire passage was suddenly hit by the Premier's attack and began to collapse. The space in the passage began to be annihilated, completely blocking their way to the infinite world. Damn it! Step back. Sacred Lord Devouring Yin's cold voice sounded. He sounded extremely angry. Long Chen, so what if you've sealed the passage? One day, we'll still be able to head to the infinite worlds and capture you. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's voice became softer and softer until it disappeared. The sacred lords of the sky devouring race didn't dare to stay in the collapsed passageway for too long. They could only return to the primogenitor's world and be separated from Long Chen. At this moment, Long Chen was in the infinite world and witnessed the complete collapse of the passageway. The sacred lords of the sky devouring race were completely separated and wouldn't be able to come to the infinite worlds in a short period of time. Long Chen finally let Lingxi, Li Xuanji, and Kitten out of his divine kingdom. We're finally out of danger. Chen, what do we do now? Xiao Lang, he. Lingxi let out a breath as soon as she came out, but then she started to worry about Xiao Lang. Mo Xiaolang was controlled by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, and his life and death were completely in the hands of the Sacred Lords of the Sky Devouring race. If the Sacred Lords of the Sky Devouring race decided to go all out, Mo Xiaolang definitely wouldn't be able to survive. Don't worry. If they want to break through the world barrier and come to the infinite worlds from the primogenitor's world, they have to borrow Mo Xiaolang's power. Otherwise, they'll have to spend a lot more time, so they won't be able to do anything to Mo Xiaolang. Long Chen was very certain about this and wasn't too worried about Mo Xiaolang. If the Sacred Lords of the Sky Devouring race killed Mo Xiaolang, it wouldn't benefit them at all. After all, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer could control Mo Xiaolang completely because Mo Xiaolang's body was the sun-devouring wolf of the Sky Devouring race. If they want to come to the infinite worlds, they'll definitely need a lot of time. If I want to defeat them, I need to be even more powerful. Lingxi, Xuanji, Kitten, lead the people of the infinite worlds and patrol the infinite worlds in case of any accidents. I'll return to the Tower of Time and cultivate as soon as possible. Long Chen quickly made a decision and said to the others. Li Xuanji nodded. Okay, we'll inform you as soon as there's anything unusual in the infinite worlds. Cultivate as soon as possible. Okay. Long Chen nodded. Without wasting any time, he directly returned to the 4th floor of the Tower of Time and started cultivating in the high-speed time domain. Li Xuanji, Ling Shi, Cat, and the others quickly informed the ancestral gods of the 5th era who were still alive in the myriad worlds and led them to patrol the entire myriad worlds. As for Long Chen, he only needed to improve his strength as soon as possible. Although he had completely mastered the 8 ancestral dragon inheritances, the primordial sacrificial dragon and the void cosmic dragon had yet to reach perfection. They both needed the origin of a world to reach the pinnacle. Of course, Long Chen's cultivation this time would start from this aspect. In the high-speed time domain, time flew. Long Chen first comprehended the time rule of the void cosmic dragon. Finally, about 30,000 years later, he cultivated the origin of the Void Ether Dragon's 7th world and raised the Void Ether Dragon's inheritance to the 3rd era's primordial ancestor god realm. This allowed Long Chen's understanding of time to finally reach its peak. Long Chen was now more adept at controlling the laws of time. Moreover, he was able to display more laws related to time. The laws of time that he had cultivated in the past were now even more powerful when he displayed them. The Void Cosmic Dragon's inheritance has finally reached perfection. Long Chen sighed with emotions. 30,000 years was only about 3 months in the outside world. However, he had spent 30,000 years, which made him feel the vicissitudes of life. Cultivation was boring. However, Long Chen had long been used to it. He wasn't satisfied with just this. Next, he wanted to cultivate the last world's origin of the primordial dragon sacrificial rite. As long as he could cultivate the last world's origin of the primordial dragon sacrificial rite, Long Chen would be able to step into the second era's ancestral god realm. His true strength, combined with the 8 great ancestral dragon inheritances, would definitely surpass ordinary sky-devouring clan holy lords. However, at this moment, Long Chen's cultivation had to be interrupted. Because Lingxi sent a message from the outside of the Tower of Time that a crack had appeared on the world barrier. It seemed that a divine lord of sky-devouring clan was destroying the world barrier in the ancestral world, pushing the heavens devouring skill. Chapter 37-38. When Lingxi sent the news, Long Chen didn't dare to waste a second. He immediately left the high-speed time domain on the 4th floor of the Tower of Time and headed towards where Lingxi had found that something was wrong. It was a rather remote corner of the worlds. A crack had appeared in the world barrier, and the auras of the sky-devouring race sacred lords could be faintly felt from the other side of the crack. Coincidentally, ancestor god Pangu was patrolling this area. When he saw the crack, he immediately informed Lingxi and the others, and then Long Chen. When Long Chen passed through the Death Realm Dragon Gate and arrived at this corner, many people, including Ling Shi and Li Xuanji, had already gathered there. They looked solemnly at the crack in the world barrier in front of them. It was expanding continuously, and the aura of the sky-devouring clan was getting stronger and stronger. Chen, it's here. The sky-devouring race sacred lords are probably tearing the world barrier apart. Lingxi pointed at the crack and said worriedly. It's okay, I have a way. Long Chen immediately understood the situation after arriving. He felt the aura of the sky-devouring race on the other side of the crack and knew that they were tearing the world barrier apart, just like how they had torn it apart to bring the sacred lords back to the primogenitor's world. The power that had torn the world barrier apart back then was formed by the 7 sky-devouring race sacred lords. They had spent many years breaking through the seal and could only break the world barrier once. Now that the 4 sky-devouring race sacred lords had broken through the seal, their power would no longer be blocked by the seal. Adding on the fact that Mo Xiaolang was controlled by Sacred Lord Soul Devouring, the 5 experts would only need 3 months to break the world barrier. Fortunately, Long Chen had now completely inherited the inheritance of the Void Universe Dragon and cultivated the 7th world's origin of the Time Law. In terms of the Time Law, he had stepped into the level of the 3rd era's primordial ancestor god. This was a huge breakthrough. It allowed Long Chen to have a deeper understanding of the laws of time and unleash more power. Elder God Pangu and the other elder gods of the 5th era were all extremely worried. Their only pillar of support was Long Chen. Now that all of the elder gods of the 4th era had perished, the elder gods of the 5th era had become the most important overseer of order in the infinite worlds. They had discovered this world barrier, and their nervousness was no less than Ling Shi and the others. Ling Shi and Li Xuanji were considered the strongest in the infinite worlds apart from Long Chen. However, there was nothing they could do in the current situation where the world barrier was actually being torn apart. Now, everyone was looking forward to Long Chen coming up with a way to mend the crack in the world barrier. If he couldn't do it, the sky-devouring clan's divine lords would definitely be a great disaster when they came to the worlds. However, since Long Chen said he had a way, there shouldn't be a problem. Long Chen's words calmed everyone down. They all had high hopes for Long Chen. Long Chen didn't waste any time. He immediately transformed into the Void Universe Dragon, and the chains of time around him started to move. With a ka-ka sound, the chains of time around him started to rotate continuously. Gradually, a needle of time was formed. Needle of Eternity. This needle of time was like a piece of cloth being mended. It moved towards the barrier between the two worlds and quickly filled up the crack. This situation caused Lingxi, Li Xuanji, and the gods of the Fifth Era to all reveal looks of joy. As expected of Long Chen, he really did have a way. It's been 3 months since I returned from the primogenitor's world. This means that it will take them about 3 months to break the world barrier once. Long Chen said, during this period of time, everyone must pay attention to every corner of the infinite worlds. If anything strange happens, inform me immediately. We understand. Ancestor God Pangu and the other ancestor gods of the Fifth Era nodded. Everyone set the time for the other party to break the world barrier at 3 months. Although this didn't mean that they wouldn't patrol the infinite worlds before 3 months, the intensity of their patrols would definitely be weaker. This gave the sacred lords of the sky-devouring clan more time and more opportunities. Long Chen and the others didn't expect the sacred lords of the sky-devouring clan to have such a trick. After using the Needle of Eternity to mend the crack in the world barrier, they all left this place. Ancestor God Pangu and the other ancestor gods of the Fifth Era, as well as Lingxi and Li Xuanji, went to other places in the infinite worlds to investigate. As for Long Chen, he returned to the 4th floor of the Tower of Time and continued cultivating in the high-speed time domain. Chapter 37-39. On the 4th floor of the Tower of Time, Long Chen was cultivating in the high-speed time realm at a speed of 100,000 times. The primeval dragon sacrificial ceremony had 8 world origins, but Long Chen had only inherited 7 world origins from the primeval bronze pagoda. After Long Chen cultivated the 7th world's origin of the Void Ether Dragon, he was only left with the 8th world's origin of the primordial dragon sacrificial rite. Therefore, his cultivation goal was very clear. However, I still couldn't get any news about the first ancestral dragon until now. Long Chen was a bit dubious about it, however, he didn't think too much about it. As His Majesty of Sky-Devouring Clan was thinking about how to break through the world barrier and come to the dragon-sacrificing world from the primogenitor's world, Long Chen didn't have too much time. After sealing the crack of the world barrier, he only gained 3 months' time. After 3 months, Long Chen still had to leave the Tower of Time to prevent his opponent from coming to the world through the crack of the world barrier. In 3 months, I could cultivate almost 30,000 years on the 4th floor of the Tower of Time in total. It's still a bit difficult for me to cultivate the origin of the 8th world of the original dragon sacrificing rules during this period. No matter how difficult it was, Long Chen had to face it. During the long period of time, he had a deep understanding of chaos, and creation. The primordial dragon sacrificial rite controlled the primordial chaos, and creation. These 3 rules were the foundation of the primordial dragon sacrificial rite. By sensing chaos, and creation, Long Chen could gradually form the 8th origin of worlds. However, it would take him a long time. No matter what, I need greater power. Even if His Majesty of Sky-Devouring Clan didn't come here, I would go for him. At least, I have to save Xiao Lang. His Majesty of Sky-Devouring Clan has to be eliminated. With an extremely high belief and battle will, Long Chen cultivated at the highest speed in the high-speed time realm on the 4th floor of the Tower of Time day after day, year after year. He didn't slack at all. In the outside world, all the ancestral gods of the 5th Era mobilized the power of the myriad worlds and patrolled the myriad worlds to prevent any accidents from happening. The main thing was to guard against a crack in the world barrier like last time. If it appeared, they had to inform Long Chen immediately. Previously, the Sky-Swallowing clan's divine lords had spent 3 months to break through the barrier between the two worlds. Hence, the Fifth Era's ancestral gods were relatively at ease for the time being. It was unlikely that the other party would break through again in a short period of time. However, the Sky-Swallowing clan's holy leader's plan was beyond everyone's expectations. After joining the sun-devouring demonic wolf incarnated by Mo Xiaolang, their speed of breaking through the world barrier was much faster than before. Only 2 months later, in an uninhabited corner of the myriad worlds, the world barrier was once again torn open. The location of this crack was unknown. It was not far from the place where the time barrier was torn apart last time. Everyone, including the Fifth Era's ancestral god, Lingxi, and Li Xuanji, all thought that it was unlikely that the Sky-Swallowing clan's holy leader would tear through the world barrier in the same place. Moreover, only 2 months had passed. Hence, no one noticed the crack in the world barrier for the time being. The territory of the myriad worlds was simply too vast. Even though countless people were patrolling, with a slight carelessness, the Sky-Swallowing clan's holy leader still found a chance. The crack in the world barrier continued to expand. In just 3 days, the Sky-Swallowing clan's holy leader would be able to break through the crack and enter the dragon sacrificial world from the primogenitor's world. As time passed, the crack in the world barrier continued to expand. The Sky-Swallowing clan's holy leader's aura continued to leak out into the surrounding void. Finally, after 2 days, the crack in the world barrier had expanded to the extent where the Sky-Swallowing clan's holy leader could pass through. Just a little bit more and the Sky-Swallowing clan's holy leader would appear from within. At this moment, a Fifth Era's ancestral god finally came to inspect this place every 2 days. He had come here leisurely, but he accidentally discovered the crack in the world barrier. The ancestral god of the Fifth Era was instantly stunned, and he sent the news out as fast as he could. The Sky-Swallowing clan's holy leader had actually silently broken through the world barrier and created a huge crack. It was already twice the size of the last time he discovered it. It wouldn't be long before the Sky-Swallowing clan's holy leader would be able to pass through. Long Chen, who was cultivating in the Tower of Time, soon received the news. This forcefully interrupted his cultivation. Originally, he had reached a critical moment in his cultivation, but he was interrupted at this time, causing his cultivation progress to fall back a lot. However, Long Chen was also shocked. He didn't expect the Sky-Swallowing clan's holy leader to open another passage in just 2 months. This was really unexpected. He couldn't be bothered to cultivate anymore. He passed through the Death Realm Dragon Gate as fast as he could and immediately appeared at the location that the Fifth Era's ancestral god warned him about. As expected, as soon as he appeared, he felt the Sky-Swallowing clan's holy leader's aura coming from the huge crack in the world barrier. He didn't waste any time. He didn't even greet the Fifth Era's ancestral god, Lingxi, and Li Xuanji. Instead, he took out the time chain that sealed the crack in the first world barrier. Previously, Long Chen had turned the time chain into a needle of time to seal the crack in the world barrier that the Sky-Swallowing clan's holy leader had torn open. Now, Long Chen could only take out the time chain and continue to use the needle of eternity to seal the crack in the world barrier that the Sky-Swallowing clan's holy leader had torn open again. Fortunately, the crack in the world barrier had basically closed after 2 months. Even if he took out the time chain, there was only a small crack left. Needle of Eternity. Long Chen used this move as fast as he could. The time rule of eternity condensed into a long needle. It constantly shuttled between the cracks in the world barrier in an attempt to repair the crack. However, the crack in the world barrier was twice as big as the previous time. The difficulty of repairing it was not only twice as hard, but several times harder. Long Chen used the needle of eternity to thread the crack in the world barrier. He used the time rule of eternity to gradually repair it. However, on the Sky-Swallowing clan's holy leader's side, an even stronger force that tore the world barrier apart suddenly exploded, causing the crack in the world barrier to expand further. It became much more difficult for Long Chen to block it. However, he did not give up. He immediately activated the chains of time, condensing an even more tyrannical power of the laws of time, and added it to the needle of eternity. Chapter 3740. The needle of eternity formed by the time chain stopped the crack that the sky-swallowing clan holy lords had torn open in the world barrier. However, it was difficult to shrink it. The pressure has suddenly lessened. Long Chen suddenly felt that the sky-swallowing clan's holy leader's strength in tearing apart the world barrier had weakened. He couldn't help but feel that it was strange. However, he didn't hesitate and immediately used the needle of eternity to pierce through the world barrier and repair it in one go. Done, Long Chen heaved a sigh of relief. But suddenly, not far away, the crack in the world barrier that the sky-swallowing clan holy leaders had torn for the first time suddenly widened. This scene shocked everyone in the infinite worlds. 3 months ago, the sky-swallowing clan holy lord had torn open a crack in the world barrier, but Long Chen had repaired it with the needle of eternity formed by the time chain. Now that the other party had once again broken through the world barrier, Long Chen could only take out the time chain to fill in the new crack that the other party had torn. The original crack in the world barrier had already recovered to a small crack, and it was no longer a threat. But now, Long Chen realized that the other party had suddenly retreated and was actually attacking the first crack in the world barrier with full force. I must stop them. Long Chen couldn't imagine the disaster that would ensue after the 5 holy lords entered the infinite worlds. Therefore, he immediately headed towards the first crack in the world barrier. At this time, many people, including Lingxi, were already in front of the crack in the world barrier. They were extremely nervous and worried. With Long Chen's arrival, their nervousness and worry didn't decrease at all. This was because they could already see a terrifying shadow of the sky-swallowing clan appearing in the crack in the world barrier. It was charging towards the infinite worlds. Its holy lord devouring dragon. Long Chen saw the huge and round body that had no limbs, only a huge pair of eyes and a mouth. He knew that the first one to charge out was Holy Lord Devouring Dragon. Holy Lord Devouring Dragon was the sky-swallowing clan Holy Lord that had devoured the most divine dragons. His devouring rules of order had a special effect on divine dragons. Now, Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon was at the very front. He wanted to charge into the myriad worlds from the primogenitor's world to deal with Long Chen and devour myriad worlds. As the crack in the world barrier expanded once more, Long Chen found it difficult to repair it. He could only use certain nomological methods to prevent the other party from stepping into the infinite worlds. Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon, you're courting death. Long Chen bellowed. The power of the time rules gathered in his hands. At that moment, he had cultivated the origin of the 7th world of the Void Cosmic Dragon. In terms of the time rules, he had stepped into the realm of the 3rd era's primordial ancestor god. He had perfectly inherited the Void Cosmic Dragon's inheritance. Long Chen transformed into a Void Cosmic Dragon, and the time rules surged as he headed straight for the crack in the world barrier. Time reversal. The Void Cosmic Dragon roared as it swam in the air. The time rules turned into 10 time reversal coiling dragon pillars that instantly descended on the crack in the world barrier and completely suppressed Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon. The nomological powers contained in the 10 coiling dragon pillars were all different. Time acceleration, time deceleration, time whirlpool, time stop, time disorder, and so on. They all formed a time reversal domain that completely suppressed Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon, who was trying to pass through the crack in the world barrier. Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon was trapped in the time reversal domain. He immediately roared and unleashed the power of the devouring rules of order in an attempt to break through the suppression of the time reversal pillars and the restriction of the crack in the world barrier. He hadn't completely passed through the world barrier yet, so he couldn't move freely. It was especially uncomfortable after he was dragged into the time reversal domain by the time reversal pillars. The explosion of the devouring rules of order caused cracks to appear on the 10 coiling dragon pillars, but these 10 coiling dragon pillars were still suppressing Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon. This was the attack of a void cosmic dragon at its peak state. The cracks on the 10 coiling dragon pillars didn't affect their power. The power of the laws of time was like an eternal river, and it split Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon's body into different parts of the chaotic time domain. Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon's body was torn apart by the power of time in the time reversal domain, and he was severely injured. Go back. Great Creation Destruction God Fist. Long Chen then condensed the power of the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony in his hand and turned into the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony. The primordial bronze pagoda was above his head, and he punched toward Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon's torn body. This punch contained the power of the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony, and a terrifying shockwave exploded. This punch pushed Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon back, and he disappeared into the crack in the world barrier. Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon's body was smashed by this punch, and he retreated into the primogenitor's world. Everyone in the surrounding worlds cheered when they saw this. Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon, one of the Sacred Lords of the Sky-Swallowing clan with a terrifying aura, was pushed back by Long Chen's time reversal domain and creation destruction fist. Don't you think it's too early for you to be happy? An eerie voice came from the crack in the world barrier, and a wave of chilling air spread from it. It was as if the temperature of all worlds was being swallowed into the primogenitor's world. I'm Sacred Lord Devouring Shadow, and I don't mind playing with you. The eerie voice sounded, and the speed at which the chilling air spread became faster and faster. It's indeed too early to be happy. The crack in the world barrier won't be repaired in a short period of time. Long Chen's expression changed slightly, and he was just about to take measures to stop Sacred Lord Devouring Shadow from coming out of the crack in the world barrier. At this moment, the chilling air from the primogenitor's world suddenly increased by more than 10 times, and it spread to half of the worlds. Long Chen bore the brunt of it, and he was covered by a layer of endless black ice. He was trapped in the ice, and he couldn't do anything for a while. Long Chen was in such a state, let alone the others. Luckily, Long Chen had subconsciously gathered Lingxi and the others into his god nation before the chilling air descended, and they were spared. However, the small half of the myriad worlds that was spread by the cold air suffered. The cold air covered the sky and covered many worlds. The billions of living beings in those worlds were all frozen to death by the shocking cold air. Damn it! Chapter 3741. Long Chen was covered in endless black ice. He immediately tried to break through the ice's bindings. However, he discovered that the endless black ice had not only frozen his body, it had also sealed all of his power. He would not be able to use it for a short period of time. No matter how hard he tried to break through the ice seal, it would take him a short period of time to do so. During this period of time, the situation in the myriad worlds had changed greatly. While Long Chen and the others were frozen and sealed in the ice, the 4 Sacred Lords, including Sacred Lord Devouring Yin, and the Sun-Devouring Demonic Wolf that Mo Xiaolang had transformed into, rushed out of the crack in the world barrier. The 4 Sacred Lords and the Sun-Devouring Demonic Wolf, 5 terrifying existences started destroying the infinite worlds. Devouring Yin overlapping waves. Sacred Lord Devouring Yin was a giant translucent ice sculpture-like bird. After coming out of the crack in the world barrier, he spread his wings and endless cold air swept out like overlapping waves towards the distance of the infinite worlds. The waves of cold air overlapped with each other, each higher than the last. Sacred Lord Devourer Dragon had just been injured by Long Chen's 2 powerful moves, so he was furious. After coming out of the crack in the world barrier, he barged into the 2 engine-level worlds. He opened his mouth and swallowed the 2 engine-level worlds. Countless living beings and divine demon venerables were devoured by Sacred Lord Devourer Dragon. Sacred Lord Blood Yama, on the other hand, was not so crude. Sacred Lord Blood Yama, who was like the fusion of Blood Hell Beast and Black Yama Beast, descended upon the primitive battleship world where the primordial battle ancestor was. With a single punch, he shattered the protective array of the primitive battleship world and sucked in the flesh and blood of countless living beings in the primitive battleship world. Sacred Lord Blood Yama specialized in devouring flesh and blood, especially the flesh and blood essence of experts. It was extremely attractive to him. The primitive worship world alone wasn't enough to satisfy Sacred Lord Blood Yama's desire to devour flesh and blood essence. He went to the next world and wanted to devour all the living beings in that world, leaving only an empty shell of that world. In the end, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer appeared from the crack in the world. He was the calmest one and didn't seem as crazy as the others. However, he still went to a world and forcefully controlled all the beings there before devouring them all. After devouring billions of beings, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's mental energy became stronger, and he was able to control the sun-devouring demonic wolf more easily. World after world was destroyed and devoured by the sky-swallowing race's holy leader. This was hell on earth, an apocalyptic scene. This scene infuriated Long Chen. It wasn't easy for him to protect the infinite worlds. He absolutely couldn't let these guys destroy them so easily, absolutely not. Long Chen's eyes burned with endless rage and murderous intent within the endless black ice. The decimation law fused with the decimation blood sword in his hand and a myriad tribulation blood river sword light suddenly slashed down. The blood-colored sword light finally shattered the endless black ice, and Long Chen broke free from the ice seal. However, when Long Chen broke free from the ice seal, the first thing he faced was Mo Xiaolang, who had turned into the sun-devouring demonic wolf. Mo Xiaolang didn't hesitate at all and immediately attacked Long Chen. The 9 ancestral fires formed a storm of ancestral fire that surrounded Long Chen. At the same time, the 4 sacred lords of the sky-swallowing race who were destroying the infinite worlds in the outside world also returned after Sacred Lord Devouring Yin called out to them. For the sacred lords of the sky-swallowing race, the most important thing was to defeat Long Chen. If Long Chen didn't die, it wouldn't be a true victory even if they devoured the entire infinite worlds. Therefore, they all turned around and attacked Long Chen from both sides. They wanted to besiege and kill Long Chen. Long Chen, are you still not going to admit defeat? Sacred Lord Devouring Yin's eerie voice sounded, and he used the shadow-devouring stacked waves to attack Long Chen. The chilling air was like overlapping waves that surged toward Long Chen. The endless black chilling air formed overlapping waves and forced Long Chen to think of a way to deal with it. Chaotic Universe Disintegration. Long Chen obviously had the strongest moves of the Primordial Dragon Ritual and the Void Aeon Dragon. He could only use his strongest move to deal with Sacred Lord Devouring Yin's powerful attack. The chaotic universe disintegrated, and the endless power of the Primordial Dragon Ritual formed a chaotic universe. Then, the layers of shadow-devouring stacked waves were enveloped in this chaotic universe. As the chaotic universe disintegrated, the overlapping shadow-devouring stacked waves also disintegrated. Nothing was left. However, this was only the beginning. Sacred Lord Devouring Yin wasn't able to deal with Long Chen in one move, but there were still 3 other Sacred Lords and the sun-devouring demonic wolf that Sacred Lord Devouring Yin controlled to attack Long Chen from the side. All the dragons in the world are my bait. Long Chen, eat my move, Universe Devouring Dragon. Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon descended from the sky at this moment. His giant shadow appeared in the sky, and a powerful devouring power formed a giant mouth of the Universe Devouring Dragon. This giant mouth of the universe-devouring dragon instantly bit Long Chen's legs, and the terrifying devouring power made his legs seem like they didn't belong to him anymore. Primordial Chaos World Prison. Long Chen gritted his teeth and finally turned into the primordial dragon ritual. He used the laws of the primordial chaos to form the world-devouring dragon and cut the giant mouth of the universe-devouring dragon into billions of pieces before pulling them all into the primordial chaos world prison. However, before the primordial chaos world prison could completely destroy the giant mouth of the universe-devouring dragon, Sacred Lord Shui Yama's attack arrived. Demonic Blood Corrosion. Sacred Lord Shui Yama's devouring power tore through the sky and enveloped Long Chen's tail in a wave of demonic blood. After Long Chen had transformed into the primeval sacrificial dragon, his tail was constantly corroded by the thick and bloody demon blood, causing him to suffer extremely serious injuries. Sacred Lord Devouring Yin and Sacred Lord Devouring Soul didn't just stand there. They both unleashed their devouring power and bit every part of the primordial dragon ritual that Long Chen had turned into. They started to devour it. Long Chen couldn't resist the endless devouring power at all. After all, he was fighting 1 against 5, and the difference was too great. He was completely suppressed. Immediately afterward, the sun-devouring demonic wolf that Mo Xiaolang had turned into attacked Long Chen with the sky wolf devouring universe. He didn't show any mercy at all. Long Chen clenched his teeth when he felt Mo Xiaolang's attack. His eyes were filled with anger. He didn't hate Mo Xiaolang, but he hated Sacred Lord Devouring Soul. These Sacred Lords of the Sky Devouring clan actually controlled his brother to fight against him. Chapter 3742. Long Chen stared closely at the sun-devouring demonic wolf that Mo Xiaolang had turned into. Apart from killing intent, there was nothing else in its eyes. Mo Xiaolang's consciousness had been completely suppressed by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, and he couldn't escape. The sun-devouring demonic wolf used the laws of the sky wolf devouring Qinkuan to form a pillar of devouring light that shot toward Long Chen's body. It was going to work with the other 4 sacred lords to devour Long Chen. Right at this moment, a figure suddenly appeared in Long Chen's divine kingdom and blocked Long Chen's path, not allowing Mo Xiaolang to attack Long Chen. This figure was Soyan. At this moment, only the figure of the sun-devouring demonic wolf was left in Soyan's beautiful eyes. Her eyes contained an indescribable emotion as she looked at the sun-devouring demonic wolf. Xiaolang, wake up. Soyan used all of her strength to shout this sentence. She knew that this might very well be the last sentence she would ever say in this world. She didn't know if she could awaken Mo Xiaolang's soul. If she failed, then she would be devoured by the sky wolf devouring Qinkuan. However, this was the only way she could prevent Long Chen from suffering a fatal blow. Once Long Chen died, the entire 10,000 worlds would be destroyed. In just a short period of time, the 4 sacred lords of the sky-devouring race had created chaos in the 10,000 worlds and brought uncountable damage to the 10,000 worlds. On top of that, once Long Chen was killed, the 4 sacred lords would become even more fearless. They might even release the other 3 sacred lords of the sky-devouring race. If that happened, the 10,000 worlds would really be finished. Therefore, Soyan didn't even think before appearing from Long Chen's divine kingdom and trying to awaken Mo Xiaolang, who was being controlled by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer. The 4 great saint sovereigns were all swallowing a part of the primeval sacrificial dragon that Long Chen had transformed into, so they couldn't spare their hands to deal with Soyan. They were a little surprised, as they didn't expect such an insignificant person to appear at this time. Don't worry, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's control over the sky-devouring clan is unbreakable. The appearance of this woman won't be able to affect us. Sun-devouring demonic wolf, devour that woman. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer said in a cold voice. Long Chen was surprised when he saw Soyan appear in front of him and stop Mo Xiaolang. For Mo Xiaolang, Sui Yan was definitely one of the most important people. However, the current Sui Yan couldn't resist the sun-devouring demonic wolf at all. As long as Mo Xiaolang couldn't be awakened, then Sui Yan would die. Xiaolang, wake up! Long Chen also yelled at this moment as he stared at the grey eyes of the sun-devouring demonic wolf. The sun-devouring demonic wolf's actions paused for a moment because of Soyan's appearance, and some of the spirit that belonged to Mo Xiaolang in the past seemed to appear in its eyes. However, it only paused for a moment. The pillar of light from the sky-devouring Qianquan wolf then continued toward Long Chen and was about to engulf Sui Yan. Sui Yan didn't move. She looked at the sun-devouring demonic wolf with a determined gaze. Just like Long Chen, the two of them looked at the sun-devouring demonic wolf with the most sincere gazes. Despair. This war is about to end. Holy Lord Devouring Yin's eerie voice resounded. His voice passed through countless spaces and time and spread throughout the 10,000 worlds, causing the 10,000 worlds to fall into even greater panic. But at this moment, the situation suddenly changed. The devours the universe light pillar that the sun-devouring demonic wolf cast suddenly changed direction just as it was about to engulf Su Yan. It shot towards the sacred lord of the sky-devouring clan, sacred lord Devouring Yin. The devouring light beam blasted Holy Lord Devouring Yin's body in an instant. The tyrannical devouring law shattered Holy Lord Devouring Yin's power, and the giant bird, which was like an ice sculpture, was blasted into the air. The sky-devouring Qianquan wolf hit its target, causing space to tremble and completely changing the situation. My best brother, the person I love the most, how could I, Mo Xiaolang, attack them? The roar of the sun-devouring demonic wolf suddenly sounded, and a storm of ancestral fire appeared. The 9 laws of ancestral fire formed a storm that sent Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon flying just like Sacred Lord Devouring Yin. Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon was surrounded and refined by the 9 laws of ancestral fire, so he could only use the law of devouring to defend himself. He could no longer devour Long Chen's blood essence and was instantly sent flying. Sacred Lord Soul Devouring, what about your promise? Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon was slightly injured after being refined by the laws of the 9 ancestral fires, and he was extremely angry. He didn't expect the sun-devouring demonic wolf's consciousness to awaken at this critical moment when he was about to succeed. This guy, his will is too strong. I was too careless and thought that he wouldn't be able to resist, but from the looks of it, he was saving his energy and broke through my control. Sacred Lord Soul Devouring's voice was extremely grim, but at this moment, the Sacred Lords of the Sky-Devouring race still had the advantage. There would be no problem if there were no accidents. Big bro, I'll help you stall those too. You have to be careful. The sun-devouring demonic wolf used the 9 ancestral fires and the laws of devouring to push back Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon and Sacred Lord Devouring Yin. He then nodded at Long Chen and charged toward the 2 Sacred Lords of the Sky-Devouring race in order to stall for time for Long Chen. Long Chen knew that this wasn't the time to be polite. He was very happy with Mo Xiaolang's recovery, but he didn't think that at the last moment, due to Soyan's sincere gaze and Mo Xiaolang's sudden explosion, Sacred Lord Soul Devouring wasn't able to control him anymore. Now, the pressure on Long Chen was greatly reduced. It was much better than when he had to fight 1 against 4. Okay, let's fight together. Long Chen said firmly. He then took Sui Yan, who was crying tears of joy, back into his divine kingdom. It was too dangerous for Su Yan to participate in a battle of this level. She couldn't be left alone outside. This battle was the pinnacle of the myriad worlds. Even if the 4th era's primordial ancestor gods still existed, they weren't qualified to participate in this battle. Even Mo Xiaolang was a bit strained, but Long Chen had no other choice. He could only trust Mo Xiaolang and let Mo Xiaolang stall the 2 Sacred Lords of the Sky-Devouring race. Otherwise, Long Chen had no chance of winning. Chapter 37-43. The real battle had just begun. Long Chen only needed to face Sacred Lord Soul Devourer and Sacred Lord Blood Yama. As for Sacred Lord Devouring Yin and Sacred Lord Dragon Devouring, they were both sent flying by the sudden attack of the Sun Devouring Demonic Wolf and stopped by Mo Xiaolang. I have a slight chance of winning if I fight 1 against 2, but none of the Sacred Lords of the Sky Devouring race are simple. I can't be careless. Long Chen was extremely cautious at this moment. If he wasn't careful, the entire 10,000 worlds would die with him. He stared at Sacred Lord Soul Devourer and Sacred Lord Blood Yama. He knew that these 2 Sacred Lords of the Sky Devouring race were much stronger than the Sacred Lord God Demon Lord. Long Chen, your brother isn't bad. He was able to break free from my control, which is beyond my expectations. However, if you think you can win because of this, then you are completely wrong. Even without the Sun Devouring Demonic Wolf, Sacred Lord Blood Yama and I can easily deal with you, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer said coldly. Break. Long Chen didn't bother with what the other party was saying. He was still being devoured by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer and Sacred Lord Blood Yama, so he had to break free from the 2 Sacred Lords first. The primordial bronze pagoda appeared in the air. The laws of primordial chaos, and creation merged together and formed the laws of primordial beginning. 3 types of divine runes tore through space and landed on Sacred Lord Soul Devourer and Sacred Lord Blood Yama's bodies. The terrifying and powerful force caused the 2 Sacred Lords to tremble and be blown away. Realm of 10,000 souls. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer was pushed away, but he wasn't injured. After all, Long Chen's goal was just to chase them away, not to kill them. At this moment, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer used a powerful technique, the Realm of 10,000 Souls. This was an illusion that instantly enveloped Long Chen. In the next moment, Long Chen felt as if he could see the souls of his deceased relatives and elders hovering around him. Among them was his father, Long Qinglan, and the 8 dragon servants, including the Origin Dragon Servant, the Origin Dragon Servant, the Primordial Dragon Servant, and the God of Taisu. The souls of his family, elders, and friends who had passed away seemed to have appeared by his side at this moment, all of them looking at Long Chen with reproachful eyes. Long Chen, why haven't you defeated the Sky Swallowing clan yet? We've all sacrificed ourselves for you, but you've disappointed us. Long Chen, my expectations of you are too high. You will never be able to do this. The souls of these dead friends and family members were constantly blaming Long Chen and making things difficult for Long Chen. They seemed very real in the realm of 10,000 souls, which troubled Long Chen greatly. However, Long Chen's strong will soon awaken him from the realm of 10,000 souls. Trust me, Father, Dragon Servants, and the Sky Swallowing clan. I, Long Chen, will definitely destroy all of them. I won't leave a single one alive. The battle isn't over yet. Long Chen opened his eyes, and the psychedelic pendant on his body surged with the power of the laws of illusion. He turned into the Shadow Dream Dragon and used the psychedelic rule to break through the illusion. However, as soon as he broke through the realm of 10,000 souls, he faced Sacred Lord Shui Yama's merciless attack. Fury of living flesh and blood. Sacred Lord Shui Yama opened his giant mouth, and countless tentacles of flesh and blood appeared on his black meatball-like body. These tentacles were formed from the flesh and blood essence that he had devoured, and they contained the fury of countless living beings when they were alive. Countless tentacles swept over from all directions, completely surrounding Long Chen. The boundless anger of the flesh and blood caused Long Chen's spirit to suffer a great deal of suppression, putting him in an incomparably oppressive state. These tentacles of flesh and blood wrapped around the divine dragon body that Long Chen had transformed into, and they began to devour his flesh and blood essence, rapidly weakening Long Chen's combat power. Eternal Time Quicksand. At this critical moment of life and death, Long Chen used the time chain to condense the eternal time rules, and he turned into a ball of eternal time quicksand that enveloped the tentacles of flesh and blood in it. The eternal time quicksand completely surrounded the tentacles of flesh and blood and separated them from Long Chen's divine dragon body. As the eternal time quicksand continued to flow, the tentacles of flesh and blood disappeared from this world without a trace, as if they had never existed in the first place. At this moment, Long Chen had already transformed into a Great Void Universe Dragon. In his complete form, the Great Void Universe Dragon's control of the laws of time had reached an extremely high level. The eternal time quicksand easily broke through the fury of living flesh and blood. However, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer and Sacred Lord Shui Yama attacked at almost the same time. Yellow Spring's 10,000 Soul Destruction. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer used countless Yellow Spring souls to condense a terrifying storm of laws, and it instantly enveloped Long Chen's entire body. Blood Ancestors Flesh Mountain Destruction. Sacred Lord Shui Yama instantly formed two figures. One of them was completely formed from blood essence, and it was the Blood Light Ancestor. The other figure was a giant piece of flesh, and it was the Flesh Mountain Ancestor. The destruction of the Blood Ancestor's Flesh Mountain destruction summoned the Blood Light Ancestor and the Flesh Mountain Ancestor. They used their flesh and blood essence to form a bloody pressure that completely suppressed Long Chen. The laws of devouring flesh and blood essence started to corrode Long Chen's flesh and blood. On the other hand, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's Yellow Spring's 10,000 soul destruction targeted Long Chen's mind energy, and it caused unimaginable damage to his soul. When Sacred Lord Soul Devourer and Sacred Lord Blood Yama attacked at the same time, it was too difficult for Long Chen to block, and he instantly fell into a disadvantage. Long Chen gritted his teeth. He noticed that Mo Xiaolang was also at an absolute disadvantage in his battle against Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon and Sacred Lord Devouring Yin. In fact, Mo Xiaolang's situation was even worse than Long Chen's. Endless cold air surrounded Sacred Lord Devouring Yin and slowed down the Sun Devouring Demonic Wolf's movements. Although Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon's laws of Devouring Dragon were strong, he wasn't weak against the Sun Devouring Demonic Wolf either. While Long Chen was being suppressed by the two, the Sun Devouring Demonic Wolf's situation wasn't good either. The Sun Devouring Demonic Wolf that Mo Xiaolang had turned into was completely frozen, and he couldn't move at all. On the other hand, Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon had torn apart his flesh and bones. In the next instant, the Sun Devouring Demonic Wolf would be completely shattered. Right at this moment, Mo Xiaolang seemed to make a decision. The 9 laws of fire on his body suddenly started to burn. What was burning was the Sun Devouring Demonic Wolf's body. Explode. 9 Sun Refining Fire Seal. The Sun Devouring Demonic Wolf's body started to burn completely, and the 9 laws of fire instantly exploded into a ball of terrifying mixed flames that covered this small corner of the 10,000 worlds. The expressions of the 4 sacred lords of the sky devouring race changed dramatically when they saw the 9 Sun Refining Fire Seal. Chapter 37-44. The 9 Sun Refining Fire Seal was a supreme sealing technique that Mo Xiaolang used the power of the 9 ancestral fires to burn the divine body of the Sun Devouring Demonic Wolf and sacrificed his life. The 9 ancestral fires burned each other and completely burned the divine body of the Sun Devouring Demonic Wolf. The combined flames instantly engulfed the 4 sacred lords of the sky devouring race. Sacred Lord Shui Yama unleashed his laws of flesh and essence in an attempt to resist the 9 suns flame refining seal. However, he discovered that his flesh and essence had been completely incinerated by the 9 ancestral fires. He couldn't stop it at all. Sacred Lord Devouring Yin tried to use limitless air of ice to fight back against the 9 flaming sun refining seal, but although the air of ice was strong, it wasn't able to freeze the 9 flaming sun refining seal. In the end, it was devoured by the 9 flaming sun refining seal. Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon wanted to escape when he saw that the situation wasn't good, but he was too close. The moment he tried to escape, he was engulfed by the combined flames. Only Sacred Lord Soul Devourer sensed that something was wrong, and he was quite far away from Mo Xiaolang, so he immediately used a method to escape. He brought the 9 types of ancestral flames with him and escaped from this area. Big brother, you must cultivate the inheritance of the second ancestral dragon to completion as soon as possible. Hurry! Mo Xiaolang's voice sounded in Long Chen's ears, but Long Chen couldn't see where Mo Xiaolang was. Mo Xiaolang's divine body of the sun-devouring demonic wolf had been refined by the 9 ancestral fires and exploded. Nothing was left of Mo Xiaolang now. Definitely. Long Chen's eyes were filled with hatred. He hated himself for being so weak and unable to fight against the 4 sacred lords of the sky-devouring race, forcing Mo Xiaolang to explode and drag the 4 sacred lords into the seal. Chen, you've already tried very hard. Lingxi's voice came from the Divine Kingdom, accompanied by the comforting words of others, as well as encouragement for Long Chen. That's right. It's all thanks to your hard work that the infinite worlds are able to achieve what they have today, Long Chen. If it weren't for you, the infinite worlds would have already been destroyed and the divine demon lord appeared. Ancestral god Pangu sighed with emotion. Long Chen nodded slowly. Thank you, everyone. He looked at the devastated myriad worlds. The 4 great holy lords had wreaked havoc. Fortunately, he had undone the ice seal in time, so they did not cause too much damage to the myriad worlds. Unfortunately, a few worlds had already been devoured by the 4 great holy lords, including the Primordial War Ancestors world and the Primordial Worship world. Of course, now that the Primordial War Ancestor was dead and the Primordial Worship world had been devoured, the feeling of completely disappearing from the world made Long Chen feel very depressed. He raised his head and looked at the ball of mixed flames not far away. Sacred Lord Devouring Yin, Sacred Lord Blood Yama, and Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon were sealed within the flames. The 3 Sacred Lords of the Sky-Devouring race, but unfortunately, Sacred Lord Soul Devouring had escaped. The crack between the primordial world and the infinite worlds had automatically recovered just now. Sacred Lord Soul Devouring definitely would not have been able to escape the infinite worlds. Without any hesitation, Long Chen immediately used his laws and the Eye of Life to scan the entire infinite worlds. He searched carefully, but he could not find any trace of Sacred Lord Soul Devouring at all. Only a trace of the 9 fire refining sun seal remained at the edge of the infinite worlds, but Sacred Lord Soul Devouring had completely hidden himself. Even the Eye of Life couldn't find him. Sacred Lord Soul Devouring has disappeared. Long Chen's expression darkened. It's just like the Sacred Lord God Demon from before. However, the Sacred Lord God Demon still disintegrated into particles of life. I don't know what method Sacred Lord Soul Devouring used, but I can't sense his existence at all. Luckily, the 4 Sacred Lords have temporarily escaped, so we have some time to rest. Long Chen, you should listen to Mo Xiaolang's suggestion and quickly increase your strength, Ancestor God Pangu suggested to Long Chen. And then I'll leave the infinite worlds to you. Also, it seems like I can't take the 3 Sacred Lords of the Sky-Devouring race away. Long Chen tried and found that the 9 fire refining sun seal was simply too powerful. Anyone who approached it would be devoured by the power of the 9 ancestral fires. Even if Long Chen approached it, he would be devoured and sealed. After all, the 9 fire refining sun seal was an ultimate sealing method that Mo Xiaolang had used to burn the body of the sun-devouring demonic wolf with 9 ancestral fires. Even if Sacred Lord Soul Devouring was here, he wouldn't be able to break it. If he tried, he would be sealed in the end and wouldn't be able to escape. Long Chen asked some ancestor gods of the 5th era to guard this place in case something happened to the 9 fire refining sun seal. Then, he returned to the Tower of Time with his people. He was prepared to listen to Mo Xiaolang and cultivate the last world's origin of the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony. If he had cultivated the eighth world's origin in the battle just now, Mo Xiaolang wouldn't have needed to self-destruct to seal the sacred lord of the sky-devouring race. Therefore, Long Chen would work even harder. What I need the most now is time. Since Sacred Lord Soul Devouring has escaped, I can't do anything if I can't find him for the time being. However, he was affected by the 9 fire refining sun seal. I'm afraid that he wouldn't dare to come out in a short period of time. Long Chen thought. Then, he built a time acceleration realm on the 4th floor of the Tower of Time. Long Chen was already a complete void cosmic dragon. He had already reached his peak state in the aspect of time rule. Theoretically, he could build a time acceleration realm on the 4th floor of the Tower of Time that was 10,000 times faster than that of the Tower of Time itself. In total, it would be 100 million times faster than that of the Tower of Time itself. However, such a high-speed time acceleration might cause the Tower of Time to collapse. Therefore, Long Chen could only set up a high-speed time realm on the 4th floor of the Tower of Time, which was 1 million times faster than that on the 4th floor of the Tower of Time. 1 day in the outside world was equivalent to 1,000,000 days in this high-speed time realm, which meant almost 3,000 years. And 1 year in the outside world was equivalent to 1,000,000 years in this high-speed time realm. This was an extremely terrifying time acceleration realm. It had almost reached the limit that the Tower of Time could bear. Even the running time rule in the Tower of Time started to quiver. Even if it was doubled, it might not be able to bear it. However, this 1,000,000 times faster time realm should be enough for Long Chen's cultivation. In this high-speed time realm, he started to cultivate the 8th world's origin of the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony. Chapter 3745. On the 4th floor of the Tower of Time, Long Chen created a high-speed time realm where time was accelerated by 1,000,000 times. He possessed the complete inheritance of the Void Infinity Dragon. His body had turned into the Void Infinity Dragon, and he had comprehended the time rule to the extreme. In this high-speed time realm, Long Chen turned into the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony and started to cultivate the 8th world's origin of the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony with the power of primordial chaos, creation, and primordial chaos. The other 7 worlds' origins revolved around Long Chen like stars surrounding the moon, helping him cultivate the 8th world's origin. After tens of thousands of years, Long Chen might be able to cultivate the 8th world's origin of the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony. By then, only 1 month would have passed in the outside world. I must be faster, faster, faster. When Long Chen thought of Mo Xiaolang, who had sacrificed himself and burned his body to seal the 4 sky-devouring clan holy masters, he couldn't help wanting to overdraft his limits. Although Long Chen felt that Mo Xiaolang had only burned his sun-devouring demonic wolf's body instead of his soul, Mo Xiaolang should be in a state of life and death. He might not be completely dead. However, no matter what, Mo Xiaolang had sacrificed a lot. It was imaginable how difficult it would be to see Mo Xiaolang again. If he didn't have a good solution, it was almost impossible to see Mo Xiaolang again. Therefore, even if it was for Mo Xiaolang's sacrifice, Long Chen couldn't slack off. He had to live up to the cultivation environment that his brother had created for him. He had to sacrifice himself to buy time. Just you wait, Holy Master Soul Devourer. With hatred for the sky-devouring clan Holy Master, Long Chen cultivated at an extremely fast speed in the high-speed time realm. It wouldn't be long before the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony reached completion. While Long Chen was cultivating in the high-speed time realm, a strange change started to happen in the 10,000 worlds. No one knew when it started, but it was as if something had parasitized all the living beings in the 10,000 worlds, and their behavior became extremely suspicious. This was Holy Master Soul Devourer scattering his soul and using the laws of parasitism to control all the living beings in the 10,000 worlds. Furthermore, Holy Master Soul Devourer's mental energy was the strongest among the sky-devouring race Holy Masters of the sky-devouring Sacred Lords. He could split billions of soul power into the bodies of other living beings and parasitize their souls. After being possessed, these living beings would listen to Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's orders and become the fangs and claws of Sacred Lord Soul Devourer. The range of Soul Devourer started to spread from a small number of worlds. From the very beginning, the method of soul parasitism was very secretive. Once it was done, it would be done by parasitizing all the living beings in that world without leaving anything behind. Then, it would move from one world to another, gradually parasitizing more and more living beings. All beings in the 10,000 worlds were unknowingly controlled by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's mental energy. Even the ancestral gods of the Fifth Era didn't notice anything strange. Soon, even some of the ancestral gods of the Fifth Era had their souls parasitized because the mental energy of the ancestral gods of the Fifth Era was too insignificant compared to Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's mental energy. The calamity was spreading, but no one noticed it. That was because the living beings that had been parasitized did not do anything too outstanding. Instead, they kept a very low profile, as if they were waiting for something. What these parasites were waiting for was, of course, for Sacred Lord Soul Devourer to infect all the living beings of the infinite worlds. With Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's powerful mental energy, it wasn't impossible for him to do this. Of course, if he wanted to parasitize even stronger people, he would need even more psychic energy. Parasitizing those Fifth Era ancestor gods and so on would require a lot more psychic energy. If he parasitized the ordinary living beings of the infinite worlds, the amount of psychic energy he would need would be so small that it was almost negligible. This was because those ordinary living beings were simply too weak. However, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer didn't let a single one of them go. Every living being in a world that he had scanned with his mental energy was controlled by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer. 1 day. 2 days. As time passed, more and more worlds fell into the hands of Sacred Lord Soul Devourer. Even now, no one had noticed it. Some ancestral gods did notice that something was wrong. However, as soon as they noticed it, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer used his mental energy to parasitize their souls without anyone noticing. Gradually, the claws of the Soul Devourer finally arrived from all directions after half a month and spread to the Dragon Sacrificial Continent. All the living beings on the Dragon Sacrificial Continent, including the Dragon Emperor, were all controlled by this Soul Devourer method. At this point, it had been almost a month since Long Chen entered the Tower of Time. Under Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's stealthy infiltration, there wasn't a single normal place in the entire infinite worlds. All the living beings in the infinite worlds had been controlled by the Soul Devourer method, including the numerous living beings on the Dragon Sacrificial Continent. If there were any living beings that hadn't been controlled, it would be the living beings in the Tower of Time, the Life and Death realms, and the other companion worlds that hadn't been controlled by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer. It was also at this time that Long Chen's cultivation in the Tower of Time finally came to an end. The outside world had been turned upside down by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer in just 1 month. Meanwhile, in the high-speed time domain on the 4th floor of the Tower of Time, Long Chen had finally cultivated the origin of the 8th world of the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony. The moment he fully grasped the inheritance of the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony, the origin of the 8 worlds, which contained the power of primordial chaos, creation, and primordial chaos, revolved around Long Chen. These were the 3 primordial laws that he had completely grasped. 1 month in the outside world was almost 100,000 years in the Tower of Time. Long Chen had finally become the most powerful primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony. He was even a bit more powerful than the second ancestral dragon. If Long Chen were to face Sacred Lord Soul Devourer and the other 3 Sacred Lords, he definitely wouldn't be in a disadvantageous position. Mo Xiaolang wouldn't have to sacrifice himself to seal the Sacred Lords either. It's time. Chapter 37-46. When Long Chen came out of the Tower of Time and arrived at the Infinite Worlds, he felt that the atmosphere here was different. It was as if the entire Infinite Worlds had changed over the past month. The air was filled with a strange mental energy. Long Chen felt a familiar aura from it. It was the same mental energy that Sacred Lord Soul Devourer used to control him. Long Chen used the Eye of Life to scan the entire Infinite Worlds. First, he looked at the Dragon Sacrificial Continent. At this moment, because Long Chen had achieved the strongest primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony, the territory of the Dragon Sacrificial Continent had expanded by several times. However, in this expanded territory of the Dragon Sacrificial Dragon Continent, Long Chen only felt a strange atmosphere and a silence that made one despair. At this time, all the living beings actually didn't make the slightest bit of noise, and all of them were quietly staying in their original spots. Including the Dragon Emperor and the others on the Dragon Sacrificial Continent, they were all like puppets and didn't move at all. What's going on? Long Chen's expression changed drastically. He knew that a huge change must have happened in the Infinite Worlds during the month he was in seclusion. However, he couldn't figure out what this change was. He felt the mental energy aura of Sacred Lord Soul Devourer on the Dragon Sacrificial Continent and the billions of living beings in the Infinite Worlds. He thought to himself, could all the living beings in the Infinite Worlds be controlled by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer? This isn't good. Long Chen's expression darkened. He immediately called out Lingxi, Li Xuanji, and the others in his divine kingdom. While he was cultivating, Lingxi and Li Xuanji were in his divine kingdom. Long Chen's children and the others were in the ancestral dragon's companion world. It seemed like nothing had happened to them. It was just that all the living beings in the Infinite Worlds had met with some kind of mishap. It seems like they've been controlled by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer. What should we do now? Lingxi was extremely worried when she sensed the state of the living beings in the 10,000 worlds. She had a kind nature, and the actions of Sacred Lord Soul Devourer made Lingxi angry. Since Sacred Lord Soul Devourer has taken control of all beings in the 10,000 worlds, he obviously won't just do things randomly. If I'm not wrong, he will contact us very soon. Long Chen guessed in a deep voice. He. Long Chen, you guessed it right. Right at this moment, the voices of countless beings from all over the 10,000 worlds sounded toward Long Chen. Through Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's powerful mental energy, the voices of billions of beings appeared in Long Chen's ears almost at the same time. This was the true 10,000 worlds speaking at the same time. All living beings in the 10,000 worlds were controlled by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, and his voice was transmitted to Long Chen at the same time. Long Chen's blood instantly boiled, and his anger burned. Long Chen, what do you think? This Sacred Lord has already controlled all living beings in the 10,000 worlds. If you want to kill this Sacred Lord, you'll have to kill all living beings in the 10,000 worlds. Otherwise, you won't be able to kill me. He. The 10,000 worlds speaking at the same time was extremely spectacular, and it was an unbearable scene for Long Chen. All living beings in the 10,000 worlds were controlled by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer. If he wanted to kill Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, he would have to kill billions of living beings in the 10,000 worlds. This put Long Chen in a dilemma. He had finally cultivated the 8th world's origin of the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony and wanted to come out of the Tower of Time to find Sacred Lord Soul Devourer and kill him. However, it seemed that it was still very troublesome. At least, it was impossible for Long Chen to kill billions of living beings in the 10,000 worlds. The living beings in the 10,000 worlds weren't strong, but they were all innocent living beings that Long Chen wanted to protect. How could he send them to their graves? Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, you're right. I indeed can't kill you. However, in this situation, it's impossible for you to kill me, Long Chen. What advantage do you think you have? Long Chen soon sneered. He had figured out the crux of the matter. Therefore, it could be said that he was evenly matched with Sacred Lord Soul Devourer. Although he couldn't kill billions of living beings in the 10,000 worlds to kill Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer had distributed his mental energy to billions of living beings in the 10,000 worlds. As a result, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's strength had become extremely weak. Whether it was relying on Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's remaining strength or trying to control billions of living beings in the 10,000 worlds. Even if Sacred Lord Soul Devourer wanted to kill Long Chen, it was impossible. After Long Chen finished speaking, he recalled Ling Shi and the others into his divine kingdom. Then, he directly crossed the life and death realms and stepped out of the death realm dragon gate. He headed towards the place where Mo Xiaolang had self-destructed his divine body and sealed the other 3 sky-devouring clan holy lords. Since he couldn't kill Sacred Lord Soul Devourer for the time being, the only thing Long Chen could do now was to find a way to kill the other 3 sacred lords of the sky-swallowing clan. Previously, Long Chen couldn't do anything about the 9-flame sun refining seal. However, now that he had completed the complete primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony, which was a level higher than before, he might be able to deal with the seal. Very soon, Long Chen passed through the Death Realm Dragon Gate and arrived at the 9-flame sun refining seal. This place was located in the void, and the living beings controlled by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer were all weak existences. The 5th-era Ancestral God was the strongest, but even the 5th-era Ancestral God posed no threat to Long Chen. Therefore, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer didn't control the living beings of the 10,000 worlds to deal with Long Chen. After all, doing so would consume a lot of mental energy. Originally, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer only controlled the living beings of the 10,000 worlds to protect himself, but Sacred Lord Soul Devourer felt that his chance might come when he saw Long Chen arrive near the 9-flame sun refining seal. As expected, the 9 ancestral flames in the 9-flame sun refining seal all come from the same source as the ancestral god dragon. The only one that doesn't come from the same source is the primal chaos heaven devouring fire. I can easily block it with my current cultivation. Long Chen soon felt that his aura was the same as the 9-flame sun refining seal, so he calmed himself down and stepped into the 9-flame sun refining seal. Whether it was to completely kill the 3 sacred lords of the sky-devouring race or check the state of Mo Xiaolang's soul, he had to enter the giant mixed flames of the 9-flame sun refining seal in order to find the result. Right now, Long Chen had completed the perfect primordial sacrificial dragon and charged into the 9-flame sun refining seal after turning into the primordial sacrificial dragon. He then tried to contact Mo Xiaolang, but he didn't receive any response. It looked like Mo Xiaolang's soul was most likely sealed in the 9-flame sun refining seal. Only the body of the sun-devouring demonic wolf was destroyed, but the soul was definitely still there. If that's the case, I'll kill the sacred lords of the sky-devouring race first and then try to call Xiaolang. Long Chen made his decision and started to search for the 3 sacred lords of the sky-devouring race sealed within the giant mixed flames of the 9-flame sun refining seal. Chapter 3747. Long Chen entered the 9-sun flame refining seal and used the ancestral dragon's inheritance that came from the same source as the 9 types of ancestral fire to successfully travel through it. The chaotic sky-devouring fire, which had a different origin, couldn't do much damage to Long Chen. Very soon, he found one of the sacred lords of the sky-devouring race that was completely sealed within the giant ball of fire, Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon. Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon's body was just a giant ball of flesh, and his mouth took up more than a third of his body. Although he was sealed by the 9-sun flame refining seal, he still maintained an extremely ferocious appearance. Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon, you've devoured the most divine dragons. Now that you're trapped by the 9-sun flame refining seal, your retribution has finally arrived. Long Chen approached Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon and snickered coldly. Although Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon's body had been sealed, his mind was still awake. He obviously saw Long Chen's arrival. Long Chen, what are you so proud of? Even if you can kill me, it's only because I'm trapped by the sun-devouring demonic wolf. If you have the guts, let me out and we'll fight fair and square. Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon's voice was filled with endless darkness and ferocity. If he was let out, it would definitely be another battle of life and death. However, Long Chen obviously wouldn't be so stupid as to let Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon out. After all, Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon was sealed after Mo Xiaolang self-destructed his divine body. How could Long Chen ruin the efforts of his best brother? You know it's impossible to let you out. Just accept reality and die. A cold glint appeared in Long Chen's eyes as murderous intent spread throughout his body. After turning into the primordial sacrificial dragon, the nomological powers of chaos, primordial chaos, and creation surrounded him, and the primordial bronze pagoda appeared in front of him. The primal chaos law made everything return to primal chaos. The primordial chaos law made the heavens start from the primordial chaos. The creation law made everything in the world a creation. The three powerful nomological forces fused and condensed above the primordial bronze pagoda. Then, they fused with the primordial sacrificial dragon divine body that Long Chen had transformed into. Suddenly, a huge dragon claw was formed. Heaven-ripping primordial beginning. With a furious roar from Long Chen, the dragon claw condensed the power of primordial chaos, creation, and primordial chaos laws, instantly tearing apart Holy Lord Devouring Dragon's sealed body. Divine Lord Devouring Dragon wanted to say something, but he didn't have the chance. This Divine Lord of the Sky Devouring clan, who had devoured the most divine dragons, was finally killed by Long Chen's primordial sky-ripping strike. His soul was torn apart by the primordial sacrificial dragon's claws and turned into ashes. Only the energy that belonged to Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon was left in the nine-flame sun refining seal, and it was temporarily sealed, unable to escape from the giant mixed flames. Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon is finally dead. In that case, Sacred Lord Devouring Yin and Sacred Lord Shuai-Yama have to be eliminated first. Long Chen tried to call Mo Xiaolang, but there was still no response. Hence, he could only continue searching in the huge flames. There were also Sacred Lord Devouring Yin and Sacred Lord Shuai-Yama, the two sky-devouring clan divine lords that Long Chen had to kill. Very soon, he found Sacred Lord Shuai-Yama, who was sealed in the nine-flame sun refining seal. At this moment, Sacred Lord Shuai-Yama's entire body was a ball of flesh. It was pitch black with a tinge of blood red, and exuded a nauseating aura. Under the refining seal of the nine ancestral fires, Sacred Lord Shuai-Yama couldn't move at all. He could only let the nine ancestral fires burn on his body. If this situation continued, Sacred Lord Shuai-Yama would be completely refined by the nine ancestral fires even without Long Chen's help. Of course, it would take an unimaginable amount of time. It might take tens of thousands of years, or hundreds of thousands of years, or even longer. Long Chen obviously couldn't wait that long. He had to eliminate Sacred Master Shuai-Yama right now. Especially when he saw Sacred Lord Shuai-Yama's body, Long Chen thought of his father, Long Qinglan. Long Qinglan's body was once parasitized by the Black Yama beasts and was corrupted. Sacred Lord Shuai-Yama was the leader of the Black Yama beasts. From the beginning, Long Chen had a deep-rooted hatred for him. The dead couldn't return. The culprit of all this was the Sky-Devouring clan. As the leader of the Sky-Devouring clan, Sacred Lord Shuai-Yama was the target that Long Chen had to eliminate in his life. Now, he finally had the chance. Long Chen, you're finally here. Sacred Lord Shuai-Yama's bloodthirsty voice could be heard. Obviously, he had already sensed the death of Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon. Therefore, he roughly knew what his fate was. In the nine flames refining sun seal, he couldn't resist at all and could only be killed by Long Chen. Even so, he wouldn't let Long Chen have it easy. From now on, Sacred Lord Shuai-Yama's name shall be erased from this world. Long Chen was filled with hatred. That's right, but so what? After all, Long Chen, your father, your senior dragon attendant, was killed before me. TSK, TSK, TSK. Even if I die, I'll die later than your elders. I'll be satisfied even if I die. He he. Sacred Lord Shuai-Yama said with hatred. You're courting death. Long Chen's eyes were filled with anger. Sacred Lord Shuai-Yama's words had obviously poked his sore spot. Long Chen had always been pained by the death of his father and the 8 dragon servants. Now that Sacred Lord Shuai-Yama had used these words to provoke Long Chen, it was only speeding up his own death. Primordial Sky Ripping. Long Chen turned into the primordial sacrificial dragon and merged with the primordial bronze pagoda. So what if you kill me? The dead won't return. Ha ha ha. Sacred Lord Shuai-Yama laughed wildly. In the next instant, the black meatball was instantly torn apart by the primordial sky-ripping dragon's claws. His laughter stopped abruptly. Sacred Lord Shuai-Yama was dead. The remaining power of Sacred Lord Shuai-Yama was contained in the 9 flames refining sun seal. Once the seal dissipated, the power that originated from the infinite worlds would return to the infinite worlds, allowing the infinite worlds to return to the scale before the epoch. Although Sacred Lord Shuai-Yama was dead, his words made Long Chen's mood extremely bad. Although he had always remembered this hatred in his heart and had never forgotten it, he was still infuriated when Sacred Lord Shuai-Yama mentioned it. There's also Sacred Lord Devouring Yin. He sealed half of the infinite worlds in ice the moment he came out of the primordial world. I can't let him go today. Long Chen's killing intent surged. He quickly found the last Sacred Lord of the Sky Devouring clan sealed in the 9 flames refining sun seal. The giant bird that looked like an ice sculpture. Sacred Lord Devouring Yin. Sacred Lord Devouring Yin was naturally prepared for Long Chen's arrival. The coldness around his body was completely suppressed by the 9 flames refining sun seal and couldn't be used. Facing Long Chen, he had no ability to resist at all. Today is the winter festival. I wish everyone a happy winter festival. Eat some glutinous rice balls and dumplings. The new Heaven Devouring Record regular script has more than 6 million views in 20 days. The speed is way faster than Dragon Blood. I estimate that it won't be a problem to reach 10 million views in a month. Thank you everyone for your support. Chapter 3748. Long Chen came before the giant bird that looked like an ice sculpture. His eyes were filled with murderous intent as he looked at the culprit that had frozen half of the worlds, Holy Lord Devouring Yin. Holy Lord Devouring Yin, die. Long Chen didn't waste any time. He turned into the primeval sacrificial dragon and used the primeval copper pagoda as the medium to condense the primordial chaos, creation, and chaos rules. It turned into a huge dragon claw that tore Holy Lord Devouring Yin's body into pieces. Long Chen. So what if you kill me? The Sky-Swallowing clan will devour this world. All living beings in the worlds will become food for the Sky-Swallowing clan. Holy Lord Devouring Yin shouted with great unwillingness. Then, he was completely destroyed by Long Chen's primeval tearing sky. His soul was destroyed and his body was destroyed. He disappeared from this world. Long Chen didn't care about what Holy Lord Devouring Yin shouted before he died. No matter what, he only had one thought about the Sky-Swallowing clan, to kill them all. He wouldn't let them have the chance to devour the worlds. Holy Lord Devouring Dragon, Holy Lord Shuai-Yama, and Holy Lord Devouring Yin, the 3 Sky-Swallowing clan Holy Lords were eliminated by Long Chen in Mo Xiaolang's 9 Flame Sun Refining Seal. The remaining strength of the sky-swallowing clan was cut down by half. This was a very important victory in the battle against the sky-swallowing clan holy lords. It was also something that Long Chen hadn't expected. Xiaolang. Long Chen started searching in the Nine Flames Sun refining seal. Mo Xiaolang's soul should still be in this huge fireball. As long as he found it, he might be able to let Mo Xiaolang return. Originally, the Nine Fire Refining Sun Seal used the sun-devouring demonic wolf's body as a medium and Mo Xiaolang's divine soul as a seal to suppress the three sky-devouring race holy lords. But now that the three sky-devouring race holy lords were dead, Xiaolang didn't need to expend energy suppressing the holy lords. Long Chen didn't have to search for long before he saw a sun-devouring god wolf in the center of the Nine-Flame Refining Sun Seal. It was constantly absorbing the energy of the entire Nine-Flame Refining Sun Seal. The 9 kinds of ancestral flame energy were constantly condensing in the sun-devouring god wolf's body. Xiaolang. Long Chen was overjoyed. He rushed over and found that it was indeed Mo Xiaolang reviving. When the three-headed sky-devouring clan holy lord died, Mo Xiaolang recovered his consciousness and was reborn from the seal. He absorbed the power of the Nine Flames Refining Sun Seal and returned to his peak state. However, Mo Xiaolang was still recovering and couldn't move, so Long Chen guarded him. At this moment, an accident happened. After Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon, Sacred Lord Blood Yama, and Sacred Lord Devouring Yin died, the enormous amount of energy within their bodies was suppressed by the Nine Flame Refining Sun Seal. However, as Mo Xiaolang revived, the Nine Flame Refining Sun Seal started to weaken, and the 3 balls of energy started to spread across the 10,000 worlds. This energy was originally devoured by the sky-devouring race holy lords from the 10,000 worlds. Returning to the 10,000 worlds was originally a good thing. It would definitely allow the 10,000 worlds to recover and increase their yuan qi. However, Long Chen forgot that there was still Sacred Lord Soul Devouring eyeing the 10,000 worlds. While Long Chen was guarding Mo Xiaolang's resurrection, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer had already quietly abandoned his parasitic control over the billions of living beings in the infinite worlds. Instead, he silently came to the void where Long Chen and Mo Xiaolang were and suddenly erupted, completely devouring the power that belonged to Sacred Lord Soul Devourer. This scene shocked Long Chen. After devouring the power of Sacred Lord Soul Devouring Dragon, Sacred Lord Soul Devouring's aura increased dramatically. His power had more than doubled, and he became even more terrifying. Of course, this wasn't what Long Chen was afraid of. Even so, Long Chen was confident that he could defeat him. What Long Chen was worried about was that Sacred Lord Soul Devouring's concealment technique was very good. If he let him escape and devoured the power of Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon, it would be even more dangerous to the 10,000 worlds. Stop! Long Chen roared. His body suddenly turned into a divine dragon and charged toward Sacred Lord Soul Devouring. Sacred Lord Soul Devouring had just devoured the power of Sacred Lord Dragon Devouring and hadn't had time to digest it yet. Now that he saw that Long Chen was a complete primordial sacrificial dragon, he didn't dare to fight head-on with Long Chen, so he immediately turned around and ran. Seeing this, Long Chen didn't chase after him. Instead, he turned around and shattered the 2 balls of power that belonged to Sacred Lord Blood Yama and Sacred Lord Devouring Yin. Then, the 2 balls of power scattered across the 10,000 worlds. It was impossible for Sacred Lord Soul Devouring to devour them in one go. As the power of the 2 Sacred Lords of the Sky Devouring clan spread across the 10,000 worlds, the power of the 10,000 worlds started to recover. The yuan qi increased greatly, and the space continued to expand. The entire dragon sacrificial dragon world was slowly returning to how it was before the epoch. Of course, there was still a long way to go before it could completely recover, but as long as the power of 2 more Sacred Lords returned, the 10,000 worlds would recover. Because Mo Xiaolang was still reviving, Long Chen didn't dare to leave him in case he was ambushed. Therefore, Sacred Lord Soul Devouring ran very quickly during this period of time and didn't dare to stay near Long Chen. The primordial sacrificial dragon in its complete state wasn't something the current Sacred Lord Soul Devouring could block. Even if he devoured the power of Sacred Lord Dragon Devouring, it would still be the same. After all, it would take a lot of time to digest it. The divine body of the sun-devouring demonic wolf soon absorbed all the power sealed in the 9-fire refining sun, and it finally opened its eyes. From those eyes, Long Chen saw the light that only belonged to Mo Xiaolang. After the 3 sacred lords of the sky-devouring clan died, Mo Xiaolang had finally returned. Mo Xiaolang's divine body had been reborn amidst the 9 ancestral fires, and he had recovered to his peak. He had even devoured some of the 3 great sacred lords' energy during this period of time. Therefore, Mo Xiaolang's current state was even better than before he self-detonated his divine body. Xiaolang, welcome back. There's still another sacred lord soul devouring. Let's team up and kill it. Long Chen was excited. He had been afraid that the wolf cub would leave him forever because of this. Now, he could finally relax. Although Xiaolang had just revived, he knew what had happened very well. He knew that Sacred Lord Soul Devouring had devoured the power of Sacred Lord Dragon Devouring and was escaping through the 10,000 worlds. They had to kill him as quickly as possible, otherwise, Sacred Lord Soul Devouring would be able to cause great destruction in the 10,000 worlds. Let's go. Mo Xiaolang nodded his head, and the sun-devouring demonic wolf roared as it followed Long Chen and chased after the escaping Sacred Lord Soul Devouring. Sacred Lord Soul Devouring doesn't want to destroy the 10,000 worlds. Instead, he wants to escape to the ancestral world. He's heading toward the origin ground of the divine dragons. Chapter 3749. Long Chen and Xiaolang didn't act rashly after seeing Sacred Lord Soul Devourer break through the barriers of the 10,000 worlds and enter the origin ground of the God Dragon. The origin ground of the God Dragon can lead to the primogenitor's world, but it's very mysterious. I wonder if Sacred Lord Soul Devourer can really reach the primogenitor's world, Mo Xiaolang thought. No matter if he can reach the primogenitor's world or not, we can't act rashly. We need to plan carefully. Long Chen said in a deep tone, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer escaped, and Sacred Lord Dragon Devouring, Sacred Lord Blood Yama, and Sacred Lord Devouring Een have all been killed. The 10,000 worlds can be said to be temporarily safe. No matter what, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer won't dare to return to the 10,000 worlds. The other 3 sacred lords of the sky-swallowing race have been sealed by the primogenitor God Dragon and won't be able to come out. Big brother, should we rest for a bit? Mo Xiaolang asked. The 10,000 worlds have been destroyed and need to rest, but we don't have much time. Once we're ready, we'll chase into the primogenitor's world and kill Sacred Lord Soul Devourer. Long Chen nodded. Right now, Long Chen had cultivated the 8 inheritances of the ancestral dragon to the max. The primordial dragon sacrifice inheritance was the strongest. If he used the primordial dragon sacrifice inheritance, even if Sacred Lord Soul Devourer absorbed Sacred Lord Dragon Devouring's power, he wouldn't dare to fight against Long Chen. Therefore, in terms of cultivation, Long Chen didn't have anything to improve. The only thing he needed to consider was the inheritance of the first ancestral dragon. Unfortunately, Long Chen still hadn't found any clues left behind by the first ancestral dragon, and the Jade Dragon Dao Seal didn't have any reaction. It wouldn't be so easy to obtain the inheritance of the first ancestral dragon. Apart from Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, there's a primal chaos sky-swallowing dragon among the other 3 sacred lords of the sky-swallowing race. This time, I must go to the primogenitor's world and kill all of them and return the 10,000 worlds to their original state. Long Chen thought as he returned to the infinite worlds to take a short break. He didn't immediately go to the primogenitor's world because he had plenty of time. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer was the one that needed to be worried because Sacred Lord Soul Devourer no longer had any chance of turning the tables. As long as Long Chen went to the primogenitor's world, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer would die for sure. The power of Sacred Lord Shui Yama and Sacred Lord Devouring Yin, the two Sacred Lords of the Sky Devouring clan, spread throughout the infinite world and started to revive the power of the infinite world. The territories of the infinite world were expanding and everything was thriving. However, the chaos caused by the four great holy lords still brought great destruction to the myriad worlds. The most serious was that a few worlds were devoured by the sky-swallowing clan holy lords. The billions of living beings in those worlds were instantly annihilated and disappeared from the world. Long Chen couldn't do anything in this situation. He couldn't revive those living beings at all. Luckily, Long Chen broke the ice seal in time and didn't let the sky-swallowing clan holy lords devour more worlds. There were only a few worlds that suffered from the disaster. Moreover, after Sacred Lord Devouring Yin died, a small portion of the infinite world that was sealed in the ice started to recover and return to its previous temperature. The vitality of the infinite world was gradually recovering. In this battle, Long Chen killed 3 of the opposing Sacred Lords and chased away Sacred Lord Soul Devourer. Such a result spread throughout the infinite world and everyone cheered. Without a doubt, all living beings in the infinite world were extremely excited about Long Chen's victory and the defeat of the Sky-Swallowing clan. Billions of living beings had always been under the shadow of the Sky-Swallowing clan, but now that Long Chen killed 3 Sacred Lords of the Sky-Swallowing clan, all living beings were relieved. It seemed that the Sky-Swallowing clan holy lords weren't a match for Long Chen. Such a situation made all living beings in the infinite world feel much more at ease. Everyone hoped that Long Chen could kill every last member of the Sky-Swallowing clan. That way, the infinite world would be truly safe. Now, although they obtained a temporary victory, the Sky-Swallowing clan still had a few Sacred Lords left. They were probably stronger than the ones that died, so the danger still existed. Long Chen had to kill all the Sacred Lords of the Sky-Swallowing clan. Long Chen rested for 2 days in the infinite world and prepared to depart. Now that he had completed the 8 great ancestral dragon inheritances, he didn't need to spend too much time cultivating. There was no point in cultivating, so it was better to depart early and chase after the enemy. This time, it was still the same people that entered the primogenitor's world. Long Chen didn't bring any more people because there was no need for that. The infinite world still needed someone to guard it. Long Chen, Mo Xiaolang, Lingxi, Li Xuanji and Kitten, a total of 5 people. Other than Mo Xiaolang, the other 3 were in Long Chen's celestial kingdom. They followed Long Chen to the origin ground of the divine dragon. Ancestor god Pangu and the other ancestor gods of the 5th era came to send Long Chen off. Long Chen, be careful. The future of the infinite world depends on whether you can kill all the Sacred Lords of the Sky-Swallowing clan. Ancestor god Pangu said solemnly, his voice filled with endless anticipation. Everyone, don't worry. I will do my best. Long Chen nodded. To him, killing the Sacred Lords of the Sky-Swallowing clan was his responsibility. He had a blood feud with the Sky-Swallowing clan. Even without others saying anything, he would do his best to deal with the Sacred Lords of the Sky-Swallowing clan. As long as there was a chance, he wouldn't let them live. Then, everyone went their separate ways. Mo Xiaolang also entered Long Chen's celestial kingdom, leaving Long Chen alone to enter the origin ground of the divine dragon. Right now, Mo Xiaolang had almost reached the peak, and the fusion of his 9 ancestral fires was extremely powerful. Even if he faced opponents like Sacred Lord Shui Yama and Sacred Lord Devouring Dragon alone, he would be able to last for a long time, and he might even be able to defeat them. Therefore, among everyone, Mo Xiaolang was Long Chen's greatest help. Of course, Lingxi and Li Xuanji were also very strong and could help at crucial times. Long Chen had passed by the origin ground of the divine dragon several times. The last time was when he entered the primogenitor world to chase after the sacred Lord God Fiend. He thought that would be the final battle, but he didn't expect that it would lead to the release of the 4 sacred lords of the sky-swallowing clan. The sacred Lord God Fiend who caused chaos in the past has become history. The sacred Lord Devouring Dragon, sacred Lord Shuiyama, and sacred Lord Devouring Yin who invaded the myriad worlds are all dead. In the end, none of the sacred lords of the sky-swallowing clan will be left. With the confidence to kill the sacred lords of the sky-swallowing clan, Long Chen stepped into the origin ground of the divine dragon. In this place where space and time had no meaning, he finally returned to the primogenitor's world after walking for a long time. Eye of Life Origin. Long Chen returned to the primogenitor's world and immediately used the rules to investigate the situation of the primogenitor's world. Chapter 3750. Long Chen had now fully grasped the inheritances of the 8 ancestral dragons, and his understanding of the laws of life had increased as well. Therefore, his Eye of Life could detect the situation of the entire primogenitor world. Although the primogenitor world was vast in the past, there were still some ancestral lifeforms. However, the current primogenitor world had lost all signs of life and was even more desolate than before. Long Chen searched the entire primogenitor world and only found Sacred Lord Soul Devourer resting near the beehive near the center of the primogenitor world. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer had just devoured Sacred Lord Dragon Devourer's power, and it had only been 2 days. He definitely wouldn't have been able to digest all of it. He probably didn't expect Long Chen to catch up so quickly. Found him. Xiao Lang, let's go together and kill him as fast as possible. Long Chen told Mo Xiaolang to come out of his divine kingdom, and the 2 of them teamed up and headed toward the beehive where the ancestral god dragon's nest was. This wasn't the first time Mo Xiaolang had come to the primogenitor world. He was already used to this place where time had no meaning, so he didn't feel any discomfort. The 2 of them were extremely fast, so Sacred Lord Soul Devourer naturally found them. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer was stunned. You dare to come? Aren't you afraid that you won't be able to go back? Sacred Lord Soul Devourer was enraged. He didn't expect Long Chen and Mo Xiaolang to be so bold. One had to know that Sacred Lord Soul Devourer had escaped back to the primogenitor world, and he definitely wouldn't be able to break through the barrier and go to the 10,000 worlds by himself. The other 3 Sacred Lords of the Sky Devourer race were still sealed. This meant that the 10,000 worlds should be safe now. There was no need for Long Chen and Mo Xiaolang to come to the primogenitor world and take the risk. What would happen to the 10,000 worlds if something happened? Since we're here, we obviously have a way to go back. However, you, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, have caused so much trouble in the 10,000 worlds. Do you really have a way? Long Chen came close and snickered coldly. To Long Chen, the sky-swallowing race had to be completely destroyed. Now that there was no living being in the primogenitor's world that could be controlled by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, it was impossible for him to escape. Furthermore, since Mo Xiaolang had self-destructed his divine body and reached his peak, it was almost impossible for Sacred Lord Soul Devourer to control Mo Xiaolang again. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer had no chance of winning in a 2v1. Damn it! Once I completely absorb Holy Lord Devouring Dragon's power, I might be able to defeat these 2 brats. Now we can only fight fiercely and look for opportunities in the chaos. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer wasn't stupid, he knew that his life was hanging by a thread. It would be very difficult for him to block the combined attacks of Long Chen and Mo Xiaolang with just his strength. He only thought that if he could control Mo Xiaolang again, the situation would become much better. Therefore, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer had to focus on Mo Xiaolang in this battle. What was ridiculous was that Mo Xiaolang had already been controlled by him once and had broken free from his control. Would he be controlled by him again? The answer was impossible. Go! Long Chen raised his hand and turned into the primordial sacrificial dragon. His dragon body soared in the air of the primordial world, and the primordial bronze pagoda released the three types of light of the primordial laws as it appeared in the air. Primordial sky ripping. Long Chen gathered the laws of primordial chaos, and creation into a giant dragon claw that instantly grabbed at Sacred Lord Soul Devourer. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer recognized this move. It was the move that Long Chen had used to kill Sacred Lord Blood Yama, Sacred Lord Dragon Devouring, and Sacred Lord Devouring Yin. Ridiculous. This Sacred Lord isn't like Sacred Lord Blood Yama and the others back then. They were sealed, but I'm not stupid enough to let you hit me. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer snickered coldly, and his giant body split into several phantoms that escaped in all directions. Mental energy phantoms. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer used his laws and turned into 8 mental energy phantoms. Each of these phantoms contained a portion of his mental energy, and they escaped in all directions. Long Chen and Mo Xiaolang could chase after 2 of them at most. As long as the other 6 didn't die, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer wouldn't die. During this period of time, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer might be able to find a chance. However, Sacred Lord Soul Devourer still underestimated Long Chen and Mo Xiaolang. Ancient sacrificial refinement. Killing intent flashed through Long Chen's eyes as he raised his hand. The primordial bronze pagoda instantly became bigger in his hand, and the laws of primordial chaos, creation, and primordial chaos filled the surrounding space. The primordial bronze pagoda became bigger and covered the nearby space, trapping Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's 8 mental energy phantoms within the dimension created by the ancient sacrificial refinement. Then, the 3 primeval laws of primordial chaos, creation, and chaos completely trapped the 8 mental shadows with their supreme refining power and began to refine them. Arg! The expressions of Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's 8 mental energy phantoms changed dramatically. He didn't think that Long Chen had already reached such a level and comprehended such laws to be able to trap all 8 of his mental energy phantoms. I have the power of Sacred Lord Soul Devourer protecting me. This little bit of refinement isn't enough to kill me. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer roared as he devoured the power of Sacred Lord Soul Devourer and used it to form a protective barrier around the 8 mental energy phantoms. They actually managed to block Long Chen's ancient sacrificial refinement. You seem to have ignored me. Right at this moment, Mo Xiaolang's voice sounded from the side. The terrifying power of the 9 ancestral flames then formed a storm of ancestral flames that combined with the 3 laws of primordial chaos and swept toward Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's 8 mental energy phantoms. The protective barrier formed by Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's power instantly crumbled under the combined refinement of Long Chen and Mo Xiaolang. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's mental energy phantoms couldn't resist at all and were refined by the laws of primordial chaos, and creation as well as the power of the 9 ancestral flames. The mental energy within the mental energy phantoms was instantly destroyed. Even though Sacred Lord Soul Devourer had used the power of Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, he wasn't able to escape death. This evil Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, who had once controlled Mo Xiaolang and billions of beings in the 10,000 worlds, was finally killed by the combined efforts of Long Chen and Mo Xiaolang. Sacred Lord Soul Devourer's life was ended, and the power within his body, including the power that belonged to Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, started to spread toward the ancestral world. This power belongs to the 10,000 worlds, but it scattered in the ancestral world. I need to find a way to send this power back to the 10,000 worlds in order to completely recover. Long Chen felt the power of the 2 sacred lords and thought of a way. His eyes finally locked onto the primordial bronze pagoda. Chapter 3751. When Long Chen entered the primogenitor's world again, he had already thought about how he could return to the infinite worlds. The previous method would not work because the passage to the infinite worlds behind the beehive had been destroyed by Long Chen previously. In the entire primogenitor's world, there was no longer a passage to the infinite worlds. There were only two ways to return to the infinite worlds. One of them was to gather supreme power to tear the world barrier and return to the infinite worlds through the crack like the four great holy lords. However, this method was time-consuming and exhausting. Moreover, it would be difficult for Long Chen to complete it alone. Even with the help of Mo Xiaolang, it would still be difficult. The second method was to use the primordial bronze pagoda. The passage behind the beehive contained primordial chaos, and creation laws. It was formed by the fusion of these three laws. That passage was created by the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony using the primordial bronze pagoda. Before Long Chen destroyed the passage, he already knew the origin of the passage. That was why he was so determined to come to the primogenitor's world. It was because he was confident that he could create a passage to return to the infinite worlds. Now that Long Chen had completed the primordial dragon sacrificial ceremony, he could use the primordial bronze pagoda to open a passage to the infinite worlds. Xiao Lang, keep watch for me. I will use the primordial bronze pagoda to open a passage to the infinite worlds. First, I will send the power of Holy Lord Soul Devourer and Holy Lord Dragon Devourer back to the infinite worlds, Long Chen said to Mo Xiaolang. Mo Xiaolang naturally agreed. Don't worry, big brother. I won't let anything disturb you. In reality, the primogenitor's world was deathly silent. Nothing would appear to disturb Long Chen. There were still 3 sky-swallowing clan holy lords sealed in the giant beehive, but without Long Chen's ancestral dragon essence blood, they could not escape. Therefore, there was no need to worry. Long Chen nodded and began to transform into the primeval sacrificial dragon. He used the primeval copper pagoda to open up a space channel. This would be a permanent channel, just like the one at the back of the beehive. As long as Long Chen did not destroy it, this channel would always exist. For example, the crack that Sacred Lord Soul Devourer and the other 3 Sacred Lords created was only a temporary crack. If they didn't use their power to maintain it, it would soon be repaired by the combined power of the 2 worlds. Naturally, what Long Chen hoped for was a permanent passageway. That would be more convenient, but it would also take more time. For the next year, Long Chen used the power of the primeval copper pagoda to condense the primeval rules and open up a passage to the infinite world. After a year, the entire passageway was finally completed. This passageway was created by Long Chen at the edge of the primogenitor's world. It was very far away from the primogenitor god dragon's lair. This was to prevent it from being affected by the battle later on. One had to know that Long Chen wanted to release the last 3 sacred lords and eliminate them one by one. Therefore, there would definitely be a very intense battle near the primogenitor god dragon's lair. The passageway to the infinite world obviously could not be built near the primogenitor god dragon's lair. As soon as the passageway was formed, Long Chen began to transfer the power of Sacred Lord Soul Devourer and Sacred Lord Dragon Devourer back to the infinite world. This power was originally the power of devouring the infinite world. After returning to the infinite world, it would naturally speed up the recovery of the infinite world and make it more prosperous than before. It would be closer to the state of the dragon sacrificial continent before the epoch. Big brother, it's finally finished after a year. Mo Xiaolang was excited as he watched the power of Sacred Lord Soul Devourer and Sacred Lord Dragon Devourer being continuously transferred to the infinite world and the infinite world becoming prosperous. And, there are still the last 3 Sacred Lords of the Sky-Swallowing race. We can't let any of them go. Now that we have the initiative, we will definitely be able to kill them all one by one. Long Chen nodded. After Sacred Lord Soul Devourer and Sacred Lord Dragon Devourer finished transferring their power, he brought Mo Xiaolang back to the primogenitor god dragon's lair at the center of the primogenitor world. The 4 sacred lords that Sacred Lord Soul Devourer released last time, including Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, Sacred Lord Dragon Devourer, Sacred Lord Blood Yama, and Sacred Lord Devourer Een, had all died. Of the 9 caves, there were still 3 caves that sealed the last 3 sacred lords of the sky-swallowing race. Long Chen paced back and forth at the entrances of the 3 caves. He could finally sense the approximate strength of the sky-devouring clan's sacred lord's aura sealed within the caves. The sacred lord sealed in the first cave is the strongest, the sacred lord in the second cave is the weakest, and the sacred lord in the third cave is the weakest. Long Chen quickly made a judgment and guessed that the sacred lord in the second cave was probably the chaotic heaven-swallowing dragon. Murderous intent flashed through Long Chen's eyes when he thought of the chaotic heaven-swallowing dragon. However, the chaotic heaven-swallowing dragon has probably surpassed the level of the third era and entered the ranks of the ancestral gods of the second era. It won't be easy to deal with it. I'll start with the weakest sacred lord in the third cave. Releasing the sacred lords of the sky-swallowing race was a very risky move, but Long Chen was very confident. Putting aside the sacred lord in the first cave, Long Chen was confident that they could kill the chaotic heaven-swallowing dragon in the second cave if he teamed up with Mo Xiaolang. Xiaolang, get ready. I'll release the sacred lord of the sky-swallowing race in the third cave. He's definitely stronger than the previous sacred lords. He won't be killed so easily like Sacred Lord Soul Devourer. Long Chen reminded Mo Xiaolang. Big brother, I understand. This will be a tough battle. I'm ready. Mo Xiaolang replied solemnly. We're ready too. If we're needed at any critical moment, we'll come out immediately. Lingxi and Li Xuanji also spoke from within Long Chen's God Kingdom. To the two of them, they wouldn't be of much help in a head-on battle. If they forced their way in, they would only cause trouble. Therefore, they could only appear at critical moments. They might be of use. Okay. Seeing that everyone was ready, Long Chen walked in front of the giant beehive with a solemn expression. A sinister aura radiated from the third cave, indicating the evil nature of the sacred lord sealed within. Open. Long Chen dripped the ancestral dragon's inheritance blood essence onto the barrier of the giant cave. Then, the barrier started to melt under the inheritance blood essence, and a sinister aura surged out from the depths of the giant cave. Today, the dragon blood essence was updated in advance. Happy Christmas and Christmas Eve to everyone. Chapter 3752. When the seal barrier at the entrance of the huge cave was melted by the ancestral dragon's essence blood, Long Chen and the wolf cub were on standby, maintaining their highest vigilance. As a dense evil aura rolled out from the depths of the huge cave, the entire vicinity of the huge beehive seemed to be shrouded by a demonic aura. Then, a giant beast with 12 heads slowly walked out of the huge cave. I didn't think that the inheritor of the ancestral divine dragon would be so stupid as to release me, the sacred lord monster demon, from the seal. Kakik? Inheritor of the ancestral dragon, do you really think that you two puny fellows can kill me, the sacred lord monster demon? The giant beast with 12 heads slowly walked out of the cave. It wasn't in a hurry to attack, nor was it in a hurry to leave the cave. Instead, it looked at Long Chen and Mo Xiaolang mockingly, as if the two of them were prey that couldn't resist at all. The sacred lord monster demon actually had 12 heads. Long Chen glanced at it and saw that the 12 heads looked like the 12 zodiac beasts. The 12 heads stared at Long Chen, and Long Chen couldn't help but feel a chill run down his spine. You think you're so great just because you have more heads? Show me what you're capable of. Battle intent surged in Mo Xiaolang's eyes. Compared to Sacred Lord Soul Devourer, who could control mental energy, Mo Xiaolang preferred a head-on battle. The feeling of fighting to his heart's content was what he looked forward to the most. Xiaolang, you have to be careful. Don't be careless. Let's do it. Long Chen reminded Mo Xiaolang before charging toward the Sacred Lord Monster Demon. He kept his guard up throughout the entire process. Because he didn't know the Sacred Lord Monster Demon's strength, he didn't use his full strength when he charged over. Mo Xiaolang didn't hesitate either. He followed Long Chen and charged toward the Sacred Lord Monster Demon. 9 types of ancestral fire burned around the sun-devouring demonic wolf's body and almost refined the nearby space. The 9 types of ancestral fire formed a storm of ancestral fire that roared toward the Sacred Lord Monster Demon. Naive. The 12 heads of the demon Holy Lord laughed at the same time. 12 pairs of eyes with different shapes stared at Long Chen and the other half at the sun-devouring demon wolf that Mo Xiaolang had transformed into. The Holy Lord Monster Demon didn't retreat at all when the 2 of them charged at him. Ancestral Firestorm? As the 3rd Sacred Lord of the Sky-Devouring Clan, how could a flame of this level hurt me? The 12 mouths of the Holy Master monsters and demons let out presumptuous laughter at the same time. Then, one of the heads, the tiger head of the 12 zodiac animals, opened its huge mouth directly towards the storm of ancestral fire. Devourer of Flames. The tiger head roared and a terrifying law of devouring burst out from its mouth, instantly enveloping the 9 ancestral fire storms of the sun-devouring demon wolf. The devouring law that erupted from the tiger's mouth completely devoured the ancestral fire storm formed by the 9 ancestral fires. The power of the ancestral fire storm became a part of Sacred Lord Fiendish Demon. I, the Demon Saint Lord, can devour anything, even if its spirit, soul, flesh and blood essence, water, fire, wind, earth. I can devour all kinds of powers. How can you deal with me? The Sacred Lord of the Monster Demon race laughed. Long Chen and the sun-devouring demonic wolf's bodies were reflected in his 12 pairs of eyes. Not only did the ancestral fire not hurt him, it even replenished the power of the fire laws in his tiger head avatar, making him even more ferocious. Primordial Strike. Of course, Long Chen wouldn't stop attacking just because of that. He gritted his teeth and held the primordial copper pagoda in his hand. He gathered the power of primordial chaos, and creation, and a dazzling light burst from the primordial copper pagoda. The Primordial Strike, a powerful technique that Long Chen combined with the primordial law, landed on the Demon Saint Lord. The terrifying power even completely annihilated the space along the way. Devourer of the Divine Dragon. Among the 12 heads of the Demon Saint Lord, the Divine Dragon head popped out and opened its huge mouth. Immediately, a wave of devouring law surged out. The Devourer of the Divine Dragon is a move that I learned from Demon Saint Lord Devouring Dragon. It's specifically used to devour the power of the 9 great ancestor dragons. Your primordial sacrificial dragon power can't escape its devouring either. The Holy Lord Demon Sovereign laughed ghastly, and the law of devour sprayed out from the head of the divine dragon actually enveloped the light of Primeval's attack, and then it exploded and was swallowed by the head of the divine dragon. Kiki, great nourishment. If that's all you have, then this Saint Lord won't be polite anymore. The myriad worlds will become food in my stomach. The Demon Saint Lord laughed wildly. The 12 heads shook at the same time, and the Devour Law erupted like a volcano, surging toward Long Chen and the sun-devouring demon wolf. Demon Devour. The 12 heads erupted with different Devour Law that instantly drowned Long Chen and the sun-devouring demon wolf. The terrifying Devour Law trapped both of them. They couldn't help each other and could only rely on their own strength to break through the Devour Law's encirclement. Primordial Sky Ripping. Without hesitation, Long Chen transformed into the primeval sacrificial dragon. Then, he used the primeval copper pagoda to condense a huge dragon claw. The powerful dragon claw gathered the 3 laws of chaos, creation, and primordial chaos. It instantly tore apart the devouring laws that filled the sky, allowing Long Chen to escape. Just as he was worrying about Mo Xiaolang, he saw a devouring light pillar on Mo Xiaolang's side suddenly break the opponent's demon's frenzied devouring law. It turned out to be Heavenly Wolf devouring the universe. Almost as fast as Long Chen, Mo Xiaolang also broke through the opponent's demon devour law and reunited with Long Chen. I've underestimated you guys. TSK, but it's more interesting to fight like this. The demon Saint Lord was a little surprised. He didn't expect his demon devour law to be broken so easily. However, this law was just an ordinary technique for him. He still had many techniques that he hadn't used yet. He had plenty of time to play with Long Chen and the rest. After all, he had been sealed here for countless years. He really needed to exercise his muscles since he had just come out. Come on, let's fight. Let me completely recover the powerful feeling I had before I was sealed. Now, I feel like my body is falling apart. After all, I've been sealed for too long. Holy Lord Monster Demon had a satisfied look on his face. His 12 heads roared at the same time, and the devouring law erupted in the sky again, sweeping toward Long Chen and Mo Xiaolang. Billions of demons roar. From the 12 heads came a terrifying roar that shook the heavens and earth. The roar turned into a terrifying shockwave that suddenly blasted onto Long Chen and Mo Xiaolang. Chapter 3753. The roars of billions of fiendish demons contained boundless devouring rules. Long Chen and Mo Xiaolang, who were hit by the roars, were sent flying, leaving a mark in the air. This attack? So fast. Long Chen was shocked. The roars of billions of fiendish demons came so quickly that he had no time to react. He took the full brunt of the attack head-on. Although it was just a sound wave attack, the devouring laws contained within it still caused Long Chen to suffer heavy injuries. Much of his flesh and blood was devoured. At the same time, most importantly, a portion of the ancestral dragon's essence blood was blasted out by the other party's move and scattered into the primogenitor's world. If the opponent obtained the ancestral dragon's inheritance blood essence and released another sky-devouring Holy Lord, Long Chen was sure that he and Mo Xiaolang were no match for the opponent. Xiaolang, hold him back. Long Chen gritted his teeth. He had to retrieve the ancestral dragon's inheritance blood essence or destroy it completely. He could not let the Holy Lord Monster Demon use it. Mo Xiaolang was also heavily injured by the roars of billions of fiendish demons. However, when he heard Long Chen's shout, he gritted his teeth and forced himself to stand up to stop the Holy Lord Monster Demon. Tai Chi Lifeform Dragon, Life Recovery. Long Chen transformed into the Tai Chi Lifeform Dragon. Then, the power of the life rules enveloped him and Mo Xiaolang, allowing Mo Xiaolang to recover to his peak condition. Myriad Realm Furnace, Suppress. Mo Xiaolang saw that the Holy Lord Monster Demon was about to snatch the ancestral dragon's inheritance blood essence that was scattered in the primogenitor's world. He immediately made a move and used the 9 ancestral fires to construct a myriad realm furnace. It instantly enveloped the Holy Lord Monster Demon and refined him within. Good job. Long Chen did not waste any time. He flew to the vicinity of the primogenitor divine dragon's inheritance blood essence, opened his mouth, and swallowed all of it, resolving the crisis. However, at this moment, both Long Chen and Mo Xiaolang were extremely wary of the monster demon Holy Lord. This guy's attack was too fast. Vaguely, the two of them could see that the other party had mainly used the power of the rabbit head to activate the roar of billions of demons. The 12 heads of the monster demon Holy Lord all had different methods, making it impossible to defend against them. That rabbit's head was not that of an ordinary rabbit either. Instead, it was a pitch-black demon rabbit, a demon rabbit. Its entire body emitted a dense demonic aura. Bull Blast. Although Mo Xiaolang used the Myriad Realm Furnace to suppress the monster demon Holy Lord, in the next moment, the grey bullhead suddenly opened its mouth and spewed out a blast of the law of explosion. It collided with the 9 ancestral fires in the Myriad Realm Furnace and instantly shattered the Myriad Realm Furnace. The power of the 9 ancestral fires was also dispersed by the bull blast, turning into scattered flames that spread throughout the primogenitor's world. They could no longer pose a threat to the monster demon Holy Lord. "Don't hold back, kill!" Long Chen called out to Mo Xiaolang. Taking advantage of the fact that the other party had just broken through the Myriad Realm Furnace, Long Chen directly used the primordial sacrificial refining method. The primordial chaos, and creation laws condensed into a primordial world that completely enveloped the monster demon Holy Lord. "It's useless." The monster demon Holy Lord laughed sinisterly. The 2 giant heads of the dog and horse heads opened their mouths at the same time. Boundless devouring power surged out and actually split the primordial sacrificial refining world into 2 parts. One part was completely devoured by the dog head, while the other was completely devoured by the horse head. The primordial sacrificial refining method actually had no effect on the monster demon Holy Lord. Mo Xiaolang's attack followed closely behind Long Chen's. 10,000 wolves devouring the sky. Countless sun-devouring demonic wolves burned in the void and charged towards the monster demon Holy Lord. Each wolf figure contained the power of an ancestral fire. The countless wolf figures carried boundless ancestral fire and devouring power, and they completely surrounded the monster demon Holy Lord's divine body with 12 heads. Billions of monster demon projections. The monster demon Holy Lord laughed wickedly. The pig head lifted up and roared furiously. Countless white pig head projections appeared beside him and charged towards the sky-devouring wolves. The white pig head projections couldn't withstand a single blow from the sky-devouring wolves and were completely incinerated by the ancestral fire. However, after they were incinerated, the ancestral fire on the sun-devouring wolves was also used up, and they could no longer harm the monster demon Holy Lord's main body. 12 heads, 12 different methods of fighting, impossible to defend against. The strength of this demon Holy Lord definitely far surpassed any of the previous Holy Lords. I almost forgot. There are still 2 monster demon Holy Lords sealed, and one of them is Big Brother. But if Big Brother is released, I won't be able to play with him anymore. The monster demon Holy Lord laughed sinisterly. He sized up Long Chen and Mo Xiaolang with 12 pairs of eyes filled with mockery. "Let's attack together. Xiaolang, you restrain him." Long Chen yelled and took out his world origin, including the slaughtering blood sword, the primordial bone sword, the primordial bronze pagoda, and the time chain. When Mo Xiaolang saw this, the sun-devouring demonic wolf's divine body instantly expanded and pressed down on the monster demon Holy Lord in an absolutely domineering manner. Although the monster demon Holy Lord had the upper hand, he didn't dare to be careless. He could only focus on dealing with Mo Xiaolang and fight against the sun-devouring demonic wolf's divine body with the strength of a bull head. Eternal Primordial Massacre. Long Chen took advantage of this opportunity to successfully merge 4 types of nomological powers, including the primordial and time laws that had been cultivated to the peak. Together with the massacre laws and calamity laws, the 2 swords merged and a powerful sword light burst out. The Eternal Primordial Massacre contained the power of 4 nomological powers. The destructive power of this move definitely far surpassed the 4 extreme sacred realm that Long Chen used before. It was even several times more powerful. The 4 extreme sacred realm was divided into 4 parts after all. The destructive power of each part was not at its peak. But now, there was only 1 sword light of the Eternal Primordial Massacre calamity. It condensed the power of the 4 nomological forces into one and slashed at the 12 heads of the monster demon lord at an extremely fast speed. At this moment, the monster demon Holy Lord had just used the brute force of the divine bull head to force the sun-devouring demonic wolf's divine body back. But then, Long Chen's eternal primordial massacre arrived. Pft! 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 After a few sounds, the eternal primordial massacre slashed 1,000,000,000 swords on the monster demon Holy Lord's body and directly cut it into countless pieces. Chapter 3754. In his rage, Long Chen merged the four ancestral dragons' nomological laws and used the world source of the four ancestral dragons as the foundation to form the eternal primordial massacre sword light, which instantly sliced the Holy Lord's divine body into countless pieces and scattered them across the entire primogenitor world. Mo Xiaolang had just been pushed away by the Holy Lord's bull head, and the sun-devouring monstrous wolf's divine body was badly mutilated. However, it was effective for him to stall the Holy Lord, which allowed Long Chen to find an opportunity to slice the Holy Lord into countless pieces. Finally, he's dead. Mo Xiaolang couldn't help but laugh. He felt that this Holy Lord monster demon was indeed stronger than the other Holy Lords. If it wasn't for Long Chen's fusion of 4 types of rules, he wouldn't have been able to deal with this guy. Do you think it's over? You're too naive. Hee hee. Just as the two heaved a sigh of relief, 12 voices suddenly rang out from various parts of the primogenitor world, each with a sinister smile. It was the Holy Lord's voice. Immediately after, under the two's nervous and astonished gazes, the Holy Lord's divine body that had been sliced into countless pieces actually condensed in 12 different places. The giant beast that condensed in each place only had one head, but the Holy Lord now had 12 giant beast bodies, which were equivalent to his 12 clones. That move of yours just now loosened my muscles. This is my strongest form. After all, it's very troublesome to have 12 heads at the same time. There are many restraints on each other, which makes it difficult for me to unleash my full strength. The Holy Lord's sinister voice entered Long Chen and Mo Xiaolang's ears, causing their expressions to turn even more solemn. The two of them didn't expect that this sacred Lord monster demon wasn't dead yet after being cut into countless pieces, and it was even able to form 12 clones. This was shocking. That's right, the key is the head. I've just chopped off his divine body, but I've only chopped off his body, not his head. It seems that only by chopping off the head of the monstrous demon Holy Lord can I completely annihilate his soul. Only then can I truly kill him. Long Chen immediately understood, because he knew very well that there was no such thing as an immortal body in this world. Facing the 12 clones of the demon Holy Lord, Long Chen immediately came up with a countermeasure, which was to break through one by one and smash all 12 heads. Unfortunately, the Holy Lord of the monster demons wouldn't give him that chance so easily. Rat, ox, tiger, rabbit, dragon, and snake. The 6 heads formed 6 clones and surrounded Long Chen. The other 6 clones surrounded the injured sun-devouring dire wolf. 12 doppelgangers had actually separated Long Chen and Mo Xiaolang completely. Billions of gods and demons roar. Devourer of the divine dragon. The first to attack Long Chen were the rabbit-headed doppelganger and the dragon-headed doppelganger. Long Chen had already experienced the strength of these 2 heads of the demon Holy Lord. Moreover, since they had finally separated and become individual bodies, the power of their attacks was even stronger than before. The billions of gods and demons roared the fastest. The shockwave from the roars of the gods and demons instantly bombarded Long Chen's body. However, Long Chen was prepared this time. The ultimate hourglass of destiny appeared in the void beside him and directly absorbed the shockwave from the roars of the gods and demons into the hourglass. Once the hourglass was completely absorbed, the shockwave from the roars of the gods and demons would completely dissipate from this world. Next was the devourer of the divine dragon, which came from the head doppelgangers of the divine dragon. It contained various powers that could restrain the divine dragon, which troubled Long Chen the most. He didn't feel anything when he killed Holy Lord Devouring Dragon previously. After all, Holy Lord Devouring Dragon had already been sealed by Mo Xiaolang with the 9 Flames Refining Sun seal at that time. However, the Devourer of the Divine Dragon made it extremely difficult for Long Chen to deal with it now. No matter what techniques Long Chen used, they would be restrained by the Devourer of the Divine Dragon. Lingxi, it's up to you to deal with the dragon head. At the very least, you have to hold it back. Long Chen said in a low voice. He finally called out Lingxi from the Holy Kingdom. Under such circumstances, the dragon head's power was severely restrained by the divine dragon. Moreover, it was 1 against 6. Long Chen couldn't hold on any longer, so he had to call out Lingxi. Lingxi's current strength was almost on par with the ancestral gods of the Third Era. It shouldn't be too much of a problem for her to hold off 1 dragon head temporarily. However, Long Chen had to deal with the other 5 head doppelgangers as soon as possible. Otherwise, Lingxi wouldn't be able to hold on any longer. It should be known that the 12-head doppelgangers of Holy Lord Fiendish Demon were almost at the level of the ancestral dragon of the Second Era. Even if Long Chen were to deal with them alone, he would have to use all his strength to kill them, let alone Lingxi. It would be extremely dangerous to deal with the dragon head doppelgangers. However, Lingxi knew the predicament Long Chen was facing. She didn't decline and nodded directly. She attacked with a solemn expression. Purifying Immortal King Sword. Desireless Immeasurable Sword. Immovable World Curse. Lingxi had just appeared in Long Chen's Holy Kingdom when she consecutively executed 3 moves. 2 rays of sword light swept across and the immovable world curse descended on the devouring rule of the divine dragon. The 3 moves that she had prepared for a long time finally blocked the attack of the dragon head doppelganger. The power of the dragon head doppelganger was similar to that of Holy Lord Devouring Dragon. Although it could restrain the power of the divine dragon, it didn't have such a strong restraining effect on Lingxi's power. Therefore, Lingxi was much more suitable to deal with the dragon head doppelganger than Long Chen. However, apart from the dragon head doppelganger, there were still 5 head doppelgangers left. It was still very difficult for Long Chen to deal with them alone. What worried Long Chen the most was Mo Xiaolang's side. There were also 6 head doppelgangers, but Mo Xiaolang was supporting them alone. Although Mo Xiaolang's power wouldn't be restrained by Holy Lord Fiendish Demons, the absolute power of the 6 head doppelgangers alone was enough to kill Mo Xiaolang. Therefore, Long Chen knew that the key to winning this battle was back to him. He had to get rid of the 5 head doppelgangers as soon as possible so that he could help Lingxi and Xiaolang as soon as possible. There's still a helper, but it's a pity that this helper is too weak. He can only be my bait. When the Holy Lord Fiendish Demons saw Lingxi appear, the dragon head doppelganger immediately laughed sinisterly and didn't take Lingxi seriously at all. The rat, ox, tiger, rabbit, snake, the 5 head doppelgangers also launched a new round of attacks on Long Chen at this time. Among them, the rabbit head doppelganger's attack was the fastest. A devouring rule tornado instantly enveloped Long Chen and surrounded him.